Raider Nation, we're live. Leadership. What is it? Who is it? And more importantly, what should it be for this roster? Because everything else starts here. So tonight, we're breaking it down together. Just remember, call in tonight, 401-830-9189. Keep it to 2 to 5 minutes. Bring real takes. Say your piece. And you're going to be part of the conversation. Jason, hit it.
Raider Nation, we are live. Right now! Call in. Speak your mind. No filters, no fear. This is where real takes collide. It's showtime!
All right, Raider Nation, we're back and we're back live. Raider Nation Voices. I'm here with my guy, Jason Raiders First Downs. And we're not wasting any time tonight. We're getting right into leadership. Jason, I'm coming right to you with this. When you look at this roster right now, who sets the tone on offense? What does leadership mean to you? Because we all know what Max is on the defense and what he brings. All right. So do we have that same presence on the offense? Go.
I think we have more presence on the offense, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
Bowers and Genty could both, at any given time, set the tone as how that offense will run. But you want to talk about the core of where that offense is going to come from? Linderbaum.
Okay.
He's going to be remember we talked way back when where your leadership profiles should start. It's in the middle of the field. Bam, we got one.
Okay, so you're saying the leadership on that offense is going to be Bowers or Linderbaum, not a quarterback, as what everybody usually says?
Well, the quarterback is going to be the field general, and his leadership role is going to be a little bit different. But the setting the tone of how, remember back in the day, the first hit is what counts. Right? Mm-hmm. Coach would tell you, hit them hard, hit them first and hit them hard. Right. So those two guys plus Linderbaum plus leadership is a collection. It's not it's really not going to be just one person, but your quarterback is going to be your field general. So in essence, he's got a leadership role, but the burden should not all be on him.
Mm-hmm. All right. Fair enough. I can respect that. It's in the chat. Tell us what you think the leader is on the offense right now. Because the big thing they're saying about Mendoza is he's such a leader, but we still have to have one before we even get to him at this point. There has to be a leader on this offense. So you're saying it's Linderbaum, Bowers. I know someone in the chat said JPJ. Let's see. I think everybody's saying the same thing. Linderbaum, JPJ. See, now, I hope that it can be Linderbaum. We still don't know right now. We have to wait and see what happens once the season gets, they start training camp and to really see who steps up and takes that vocal leadership. Because being a leader is also the vocal part. And I know some people are saying Colton Miller, but Colton Miller is not that vocal player. We've never seen that from him since he's been with this organization. Mm-hmm. He might be a leader in presence and just stature, but on the vocal side, you just don't see that from him. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's his style. He leads, if anything, by example rather than by firing everybody up. JPJ is a guy that gets people fired up. We don't know what kind of personality Linderbaum is. We don't know, so we'll hopefully see that. When you look at him now, like his press conferences and when he's talked, like one-on-one interviews, he comes across as, like a mild-mannered dude. Mm-hmm. What he's like on the field is going to be completely different, I'm sure. Just like a lot of players in this league, So let's do this. Let's, before we get too far into this, let's hit the chat. Let's see who's spending their Saturday night with us before we open up the phone lines. So I'll let you take care of that part.
All right. Well, we're going to come in hot and heavy. Hopefully, Raider Ryan's still here. He checked in. Rosetown, if you go to my channel, I will set you up with a blue wrench. John Leone, thanks for coming in, brother. James Furpo, we will get to you, James Furpo. We owe you one. Just keep that in the back pocket for us real quick, buddy. Chewy, thanks for coming in, brother. Great stuff this week. Man, hope all is well with you and the family. Rosetown once again. Let's see. PNW Mark Raider, thanks for coming in, brother. We got I know we're missing. I'm missing who I'm missing. Gunsmoke coming in the house. Salute, brother. Thanks for being in, brother Yaya. We can always depend on brother Yaya coming in with good takes. Jaw Raider, thank you. Salute, brother. Yes, leader. The leader is Colton Miller of the offense. He's the most tenured. We know that. So he's going to be he has a standard. Rorschach and Rorschach's Journal coming through live. Thanks for coming in, brother. And who was it? Brandon, thanks for coming in. Thank you very much. My guy, Money Chuck, thanks for coming in, brother. IE Raider Mike, we're going to salute you too, my friend. Thanks for coming in. And I think I got them all covered, boss.
All right. So just real quick here, shout out to everybody that's here. We appreciate everybody spending their Saturday night with us. So we'll open the phone lines in a moment. But the true definition to leadership here, not so much in the football world, but just in general, it's a combination of basically three things. It's influence, accountability, and direction. Influence, it's not a title. It's not about the position. It's about who the team chooses to follow. So like on the defensive side, and pretty much as the team in general, it's been Max. Max is always the one that the teammates or his teammates have followed or they've chose to follow just because he's been that vocal, that firecracker on this team. Mm-hmm. So we need to find that separation this year where Max is, yes, he's the overall leader just by the fact that he's been here so long and what he's meant to this organization and to Raider Nation. Everybody falls in love with the guy. But we need to have separation, meaning we need to have a guy that's going to be the offensive leadership type role. Okay. So by default, it's been Max for the entire team, basically. We've never had that fiery guy on the other side yet. I'm kind of hoping we get that this year because we need that. You can't expect Max to be the catalyst for the entire organization, basically. Accountabilities, it's the standards. It's not so much the talk, it's the standards. Mm-hmm. Starting with themselves. They set themselves, they hold themselves accountable for their rights and their wrongs within the team. So if JPJ is that guy and he takes accountability first when he messes up and everybody sees that and they start to see that, all right, this guy's trying to lead by what he does on the field. All right. And then direction. It's basically like that clarity under pressure. And, it means giving people a clear path forward, especially when it's chaotic. And as we all know, when the ball snapped, it's chaotic. Mm-hmm. It's like a semi-organized Chinese fire drill. Everybody's running in different directions. Nobody knows where they're going. Everybody on the opposite side has to figure out where the other team's going. So there's a lot of confusion. So if you're given that direction, and this is where I think what you said with Linderbaum, with him being the center, he's kind of he's that last voice they hear before the quarterback goes through his cadence. Mm-hmm. He's the one that should be calling out the assignments and what he sees from his advantage point on what the defense is doing. So that's what I mean by the direction side of this. And it's the same thing on the defense. If the linebackers are seeing something, then it's part of them being part of that leadership. Maybe Max is still the overall on the defensive side, but the linebackers are still the ones that are given that direction to help out or help guide everybody on the defense. But we don't have it on the offense right now. And that's what we need to see this year with this team on the offensive side. Because with that leadership, it's going to start that it's going to be part of that culture that they're trying to build with this new regime in here. All brand new coaches, except for a couple, obviously. Spytek being able to finally do his job. So they're doing what they're supposed to be doing up here at the the front office level. Now it's the coach's turn to put the product on the field in the right way, so this team starts building and moving towards the future. So that's what leadership means to me with looking at like the true definition and breaking it down. So it's not so much of like, oh, you're in charge, so we just follow you because you're the senior guy here, and that's what we do. You know, the most unlikely person can be that guy. You know, like you said, Brock Bowers came up already. Someone said Brock Bowers. You said Brock Bowers.
Mhm.
And we've only seen him be that quiet guy, too. He's not very vocal, it seems.
Mhm.
So someone needs to step up is basically what it comes down to on the offensive side. So
Some of your best leaders are not heard but seen.
correct.
So
Absolutely.
that's you can stand in the middle of the huddle and chant and rah rah and be a cheerleader, but does that make you a leader? And my answer to that is not necessarily. It's the person that is going to go out there, he's going to perform, hold himself accountable before he tries to hold other people accountable. I.e., the perfect example of that is Geno Smith. He would rather hold somebody else accountable than himself. You know, so those are characteristics that blend, and we can go on a tangent about the prospective number one draft pick, and I'm gonna let the doors open before I step through them tonight on that subject. So I already and this I didn't even have to study. This is just straight. So we'll cross those bridges when we get there, my friend. And we should have a really good time tonight.
I hope so. I mean, that's the goal tonight, right? I mean, that's.
But we can't have a good time, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't call in on that number. What's the number, Jeff? 401
830 9189.
9189.
I'd have the number memorized by now.
Yeah. Is there a way we could put it up on the screen for our ladies and gentlemen here?
Yep. Hang on. It is right bottom here.
There you go.
Open, but it will be open. Right. Meow. Phone lines are open.
Yep.
So
if you got something to say, this is your show. Get in here and say it. Now, remember, I cannot talk to you. You cannot hear me when I talk. Only you and Jeff are going to be able to talk back and forth to each other. But if you have a question for me, ask Jeff Hill, and I'll relay the answer back to Jeff. Hopefully, he doesn't twist my words. The good thing about it is if he does, it's on tape.
The show gets deleted right after.
No, because I'm recording it on my channel, and so that's another motivation for all you guys. Come on over and hit subscribe on my channel, just in case you think you missed something. It'll be on my side.
I know anybody that watched my show last night, right? We talked a lot of NFL talk for probably got a good 3/4 of the show. And then I got to a segment where I did address the Raiders with some of the moves they made recently, with bringing Snowden back and Ian Thomas, and we started talking about, someone I believe in the chat asked what I thought about the offensive line at this point, and what I basically explained was, until the season starts and we see what's out there, the O-line is still technically not fixed. It really isn't. So with that being said, no offensive line. There's no offense right now, technically, because we still don't know. We've got basically 3 positions locked down. JPJ's, whether they play him left or right, Colton Miller, and Linderbaum. We don't know about the other guard and the other tackle at this point because it's still all up in the air. We don't know if Glaze is going to recover from last year. We don't know if Caleb Rogers is going to be slated as the put in right now, and where Grant fits into all of this still.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up the depth chart last night. So, and I'm going to bring it up again right now. So, as of right now, as we speak, the offensive line is listed as Colton Miller, left tackle, Spencer Burford as the left guard, Linderbaum as center, JPJ as right guard, and Glaze at right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if the season were to start right now, that's what they have on paper as the starting 5 for the offensive line. So guys missing from that list that played last year, Caleb Rogers backing up JPJ, Dalton Wagner backing up Glaze, Will Putnam backing up Linderbaum, Jordan Meredith backing up Spencer Buford, and
there's no competition at the right guard this year.
I already said that. Caleb Rogers is behind right guard.
So who's
Caleb
behind JPJ?
JPJ is Caleb Rogers behind him.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And Charles Grant is behind Colton Miller. So they've already put it down that they've got Buford in there as the left guard
Mm-hmm.
and not Jordan Meredith, not Caleb Rogers. No one that played last year is listed as a starter right now. So, and I get Linderbaum being there. Obviously, that makes sense. Buford, I don't get that one. You know, I mean, do they think he's better? But then you look at the rest of our offensive line. So third on the depth chart for right tackle is Joshua Miles. Then you got third in line at right guard is Layden Robinson. Antonio Mafi is the third on the left side, left guard. There is no third guy for left tackle. Then the fourth string, McClendon. McClendon Curtis is the left guard, fourth string. Alaki Tasi is the fourth string right guard. So you look at that offense, depth and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're not good if you think about it. We're really not.
We're still lacking at depth.
Charles Grant gets elevated. Huh?
Yeah, we're definitely lacking at depth.
You're cutting out.
How about now?
Yeah,
check
there you
1
go.
2 1 2 1 2. Check. We're
Yeah, you're good.
we are definitely lacking depth. There's no question about that.
Okay.
But I think that there is going to be an elevation in play, especially with some of those guys that didn't get the proper coaching last year. So that's so you know, I don't want to say no offensive line, no offense, and I'm not throwing my hands up in the air right now as saying we don't have a very good offensive line, because there's obviously more questions than answers at this point. So that in a roundabout way could be a good thing. And who has the answers to those questions? Well, it's going to be that coaching staff. And I have a lot of faith in the coaches that we have brought in to coach that offensive line, that I don't see it being, if it's going to be an issue, we will know before we go into training camp.
Will we know?
Yeah.
Will we?
Yeah. We'll know.
You got to think about this. There's a depth issue. And yes, I have confidence in the coaching staff, but do you have confidence in these offensive linemen? We still don't know if Glaze is 100% back to where he was in 2024 yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know what that's going to look like on the field for him. Grant's only a second-year guy. Caleb Rogers is a second-year guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're still not solidified with this offensive line. And now you also have to look at, do we address it in the draft? You know, do we bring in a guy that's got a better – because don't forget, Grant and Rogers were both third round draft picks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if we get a chance to grab one of these top offensive linemen at some point in the you know, at 36, or if we move back into the first round, do we go for that? I mean, because the offensive line is still going to be – we're going to need it. We definitely need an upgrade at a couple of positions here, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I 100% sold on Grant, Rogers, and Glaze coming back? No, I don't even know about JPJ. My worry about JPJ and Colt Miller is injury issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
which leads us back to the depth situation. We don't have enough depth.
Then that's where we're getting at. Yeah. And this is where having, you know, people or fans saying, oh, we should just start Mendoza right away. Do you want to put him out there with an unproven line at that point? You know, which is why starting Cousins is the smart move. Let him take the beatings. You know, let him be the punching bag. We got a call.
All right, caller. Bring it in. Bring it hot.
You're on Raider Nation Voices with Jeff and Jason. State your name.
Hey, Jeff, it's Money Chuck. How are you guys doing tonight?
What's going on, Money Chuck? What's up, man?
Good. Hey, no, I totally agree with you about the offensive line. I definitely think that we've got enough depth at guard, and but right tackle, Grant's being groomed to be a left tackle. With the way Colton Miller's going down, what I'm saying, we need him in the reserve, but I'm not convinced of Glaze. And I think with as many draft picks that we have this draft, we should actually probably try to move up. I'd like to use the second round pick for a defensive tackle, and I understand that that necessity, but I think there's going to be an offensive line frenzy somewhere around pick 20th of the draft, all the way to 36, and I'm worried about us not getting a quality one. And I'd have no problem, trading one of our fourth round picks, and possibly an additional pick next year or something like that, to move up 5 or 6 slots and get a starting right tackle. We need that.
I wouldn't even be opposed, to be honest with you. If there's a bona fide top left tackle that's available, that's better than Grant, then I'd be going for him too. Because you got to think about it. We got Miller for one more year now, and we 2 more years. We're going to be replacing him sooner than later. I don't think you see him finish out his full contract playing for 2 full seasons. Just the health issues. If he didn't have these health issues, I wouldn't even be second guessing. And that's my biggest worry with him. But yeah, our depth is not good. We do have a lot of guards, but I still think we could still be a little weak there too.
Jason might have an answer to this question. I don't know, but beyond Lomu, is there any left tackles that we can get? Say in the 3rd round, or maybe early 4th, or trade up late in the 3rd. Is there going to be any available and worth taking?
There's not going to be any predominantly left tackles coming back after pick 12. Most of them are going to be right tackles.
Yeah, I said most of them are right.
Right. So Jeff, so if it boils down to it, getting a true nose tackle with the second round pick, or getting an offensive tackle, which way are you leaning?
To have the most complete unit out there, I'd go with the nose tackle.
See, I'm sick of bitching about the offensive line year after year after year. How long have we been in that rut? We've got Genty, we've got a new quarterback coming in. If there's one thing, I'm saying that we ought to fix, this draft, it's got to be that offensive line.
And again, and this is where maybe that was their whole reasoning with the Max trade. That's what they probably were going to do with that 14th. It gave us flexibility, basically, where you could take Mendoza number 1 and do something with that 14, whether it be, offensive lineman at that point. You grab one there if he's available,
Right.
But now we're at 36, and that's it. They have to really be serious as to what they want to do. That's why 36 is, and we're going to get into that later on too, because that is one of the. That's why 36 is a valuable pick, and they have to do their due diligence on that pick, because that pick is going to make or break how the rest.
Are you going to all 3 days of the draft, or just the first one?
I'm going to the first day. I will be there the second day, but I'm not going to be trying to get up front. I'm going to kind of hang back the crowd a little bit. But night 1, I want to be as close to the stage as possible, because I want to be in the middle.
That's such a unique experience. Think of how many football fans, I'm saying, that it's ever gone to a draft. You're going to be one of the few. You really enjoy that experience, and you make the most of it.
I will. Trust me. I cannot wait for it. Again, it's twofold for me. It's a time away for the wife and I to get away and go to a different city we've never been to before, and take in the sights and have fun while we're out there. But on a fan side of it, for me, it's huge, because I'm going to be in there with all these different fans from all these different teams. I'm going to be able to converse with them, talk to them. I'm going to be getting as much content as I can, and I'm going to be asking these guys, their takes on what their team needs and such. So it's going to help me grow and learning a little bit more about some of these other teams. So
it's like the UN of the NFL. No, seriously,
and it's sad. I get to go to a Hall of
awesome.
Fame. I've never been, so I'm super excited.
Oh, I've been. That's great. Good for you, buddy. All right, hey, listen, my 3 minutes are up. I'm gonna go do some karaoke. But good talking to you, gentlemen. But yeah, we need to fix that OL, my friend. OL.
What's your favorite
You take it
karaoke
easy.
song to sing? I gotta ask.
You know, I do a lot. I've got a nasally voice, so I do a really good Bon Scott. I do AC/DC. I do
Yeah.
Jane's Addiction. Those type of
Good
Good
voices.
stuff. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't do Rush, do you? I can't stand Rush.
You know, I've done Tom Sawyer before, but I agree with you. Rush is overrated. Three great musicians, but to me they're like Shakespeare. You know they're good, but you just don't get it.
I just don't like them. I just think that
Nothing beats AC/DC. I'm sorry.
Right.
DC hands down on that one. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for
All
calling
right.
in, Chuck. I appreciate
Yeah. You gentlemen have a good night. Take care
Thanks,
of
my
yourself.
Chuck. Have a good night, my
Bye-bye.
friend. Rosetown came in with a pretty good take here. Meredith is a decent piece on the offensive line, and I have to agree at guard. If you go back and you look at his 2024 tape, the way he played at guard in 2024, he did pretty good. It's just the whole center experiment was I have no clue what that was about. It's still rhythm.
You know, and that's why I have a hard time when. How do I want to word this and not come off like a complete douchebag?
Don't worry about it. You're good at it, so just go. Let it flow.
Yeah, that's why anything that happened last year with this offensive line, I'm taking with a grain of salt. And I'm hoping it gets corrected this year with the better coaching staff, the way better coaching staff. You know, so I'm not really holding some of these players last season accountable for how bad they were because they weren't given the proper direction on what to do. You know, it tells you how bad it was when they had to go to the GM and Spytech had to sit there and go through game film with these guys. Or when Geno Smith and Ashton Genty were approached by the offensive lineman, how do you want us to block for you? That should never happen. That should never happen. I can tell you right now, in all the years that I played, I never once went to my running back or my quarterback and said, how do you want me to block for you?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to do that. If you know the play's being called in a certain spot, I know what my assignment is. But if you're not being relayed that information by a coach, especially with two rookies, with Grant and Rodgers, and they weren't given the proper guidance, that's bad leadership on the coaching spot. So there you talk about leadership from the organization and the coaching staff. That's bad leadership. There was no leadership on this organization on the coaching staff last year. None.
That offensive line, when they come off the field, the guards and the tackles, the only questions they should be asking is, or information they should be providing is, hey, if we extend our splits another 3 inches or 6 inches, we could probably execute that. Gives us a little bit better draw on this play or that play, you know, or shorten your splits, you know, just little things like that, and then verify it with the tape that's coming from upstairs. But let's roll through some of the chat real quick, Jeff, so we don't get too far behind. I did skip a lot to get to where we're kind of in the same timeline here. Rosetown Jeff is going to be pushing and shoving his way to the front of the stage. We'll see. Raider Pete, thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us, Raider Pete. Salute to you, my friend. O-line players take a long ass time to develop unless they are a first-round talent only. Can't pass on a deadly defensive tackle or a top defensive back or a top 5 wide receiver in the second round. The only thing that I can kind of I see where you're going with that. However, let me add this to you and see if it makes a little bit of sense to you. Usually the guards and the centers are going to fall to the second round just because of the position of need. And you still can get a phenomenal guard in the second round or a phenomenal center in the second round just because by nature they tend to be picked later. Occasionally you'll see a really good one go in the first round, but most of the time they fall to the second round because people in the first round are looking for the wide receivers, the edge rushers, defensive tackles, the quarterbacks, you know, and so on and so forth to make their team that much better. As a coach, you have to visualize your guys battling in all their needs. See at Angelo. All right. Muddy Chuck and sure. Uh, 805 coming in. 805 is coming in hot and heavy. Did I come in at the right time to Jordan Meredith? What's good, fellas? Yeah, you're here at the right time. 805. We were talking about Jordan Meredith. I actually propped him up a little bit for you, just so you know. Trying to help you out, trying to be a good friend, help you out a little bit.
But I just want to circle back to what you were saying about when they go to the sidelines and everything. And you're right. But with there's other things they can do also while they're out on the field too. If they're having a hard time with it, like say I'm the center and my guy's having a hard time with the guy that's on him, and I see a chance where I can free myself up because I don't have somebody on me, or I can help him, if he wants to shed that block towards me a little bit, you can do that. And that's stuff you have conversations when you're sitting on the bench, when you're off the field as a unit, and you relay that to the other guys on the line and you let them know that, listen, I'm going to have to help out so-and-so a little bit. So you need to help cover that, my B gap or my A gap, whichever side, it happens to be on. So there's so much that you can do on a player level yourself. But again, if you're not giving that immediate guidance, especially with two rookies on the offensive line, how much can you really blame them for not performing like you thought they were going to? I thought we were going to be fine with those two guys. And it was a disaster from the snap of the first preseason game. And from that point on, it was horrible the entire season. And I called it then. That weekend, I said, this is going to be a horrible offensive line this season. We're going to have horrible offensive line play if they don't get this shit fixed. And then numbnuts Pete Carroll comes out on Monday and gives that stupid-ass speech that he gave on a press conference where, it's going to take time. It could take days, could take weeks, could take multiple games into the season before we figure out the offensive line. Bullshit. You better figure that out before the season starts. So I'm expecting when the season starts, there ain't no jumbling around the offensive line this year. This is a different system, different coaches. They're going to have their head on straight, and you're going to hopefully see a better Glaze. You're going to see hopefully a better Grant. And Rodgers, I think, is going to step right in, to be honest with you. I hope. I really do.
Yeah. One of the things, and I'm gonna touch on what you're saying specifically, and so the rest of the audience understands, and I'll kind of decipher it for you, is that you're absolutely 100% right, but the communication of itself, the importance of the communication is amongst the offensive line, as how they're executing their blocks and their if that center, like you said, if the center is seeing that the guard is struggling with a particular block or particular play, a particular movement or blocking technique, and he's struggling with that at a particular time, to where he can say, hey, is there something I can do for you? What about this? What about that? When we get to the sideline, let's talk about it. We'll get everybody on the same page. What a lot of people misunderstand, a lot of people are like, they say this, it takes so many games for the offensive line to come together. That's not necessarily what, like Lincoln Kennedy, that's not necessarily what he's saying. His intent behind that is there will be a point in time where, as they play a lot of reps and a lot of games together as a unit and start to do it over and over and over again, now the communication becomes organic, and it's like they can naturally do it without having to tell each other. They already know, right? It's almost like that in basketball, when you have that point guard and that power forward, that after a while they start playing a long time together. That point guard already knows, he could just look and see the body posture of them and say, okay, I'm throwing an alley-oop. It's going up, and on an offensive line, it's going to be the same way, where that guard and that tackle, I already know that Colton's going to take outside. He's going to take the outside shoulder, and I need to get back into the guy's chest plate as fast as I can and mirror his feet so we can get around the corner. So instead of having to talk about it, it just, as they do it over and over and over again, it just becomes natural. And then they don't have to talk about it.
And that's pretty much what I was getting into here is, let's look at it this way. If the line's not right, none of it works. Play action's not going to work. Run game's not going to work. You're not going to have a clean pocket. If the line breaks, the system breaks. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter who you have back there, quarterback, who you have as a coach. If the offensive line cannot hold it together, it's all going to fall apart. It's about communication. It's five guys moving as one. If one guy misses, the play's dead. You saw that happen last year. If Glaze misses a block, the play gets busted up. I mean, Geno Smith is a perfect example of how shitty the season he was. He had Genty getting tackled how many times in the backfield, not getting, as fast as he's getting the handoff, he's already got a defender in his face. It's shit like that. So the play's dead. Bad offensive lines don't just struggle. They make mediocre defenses look above average, basically, is what it comes down to.
Oh, I said it last year. Is that there's teams out there that have backups that are better than what our starting offensive line is right now.
And that's the other thing. There were some teams on defense last year that looked better against us, but they suck against everybody else because our offensive line was so bad. Which is the counteractive to why would anybody want to put Mendoza out there first this season? So we already know we're drafting him, plain and simple. But why would you want to put him out there? You want to protect him for the future, first of all, because you want him to be the franchise and the savior of this organization and bring us to the promised land. We're all hoping that. Trust me. I don't feel secure with him being behind this offensive line right away.
Today.
You still don't know what you have. You don't know how good this unit's going to be. You're talking about 2 third-year offensive linemen, 2 second-year offensive linemen right now, two new guys on the team between Buford and Linderbaum that haven't even played with any of these guys yet. So you don't know how they're going to gel. So this is a learning curve, a whole new offense, bunch of new coaches, a different quarterback back there now. So, I mean, there's so many different changes to this offense. This is not going to be a quick fix. And I'm on board with that this year. Last year, it is what it was last year. There was a lot of head games played with JPJ, and I think they played games with Glaze, too, to be honest with you. And I think that's why he regressed so bad. But the whole unit regressed. I'm hoping we don't see that this year. There's faith or there's hope with this coaching staff that everything gets put in the right place. Because, listen, the one guy everybody loves in Raider Nation, John Madden. No, John Madden could do no wrong. And what did he always say? Everything starts in the trenches, offensive trenches and defensive trenches. And if we don't get that offensive trench fixed, that front line, you could have the best quarterback in the world back there and the best running back. And if you don't have the protection up front, it's all for naught. And that's why this season is pivotal with, having a rookie quarterback back there. And that's why I'm saying, don't even worry about putting Mendoza out there this year, just for the fact that you don't know what he's got for a line in front of him. Coming in as a rookie with a team offensive line with two, maybe 3 of the guys in the line have never played together before. That's a big deal, So hopefully this is all set up during the preseason games. And week 1, we got our starting 5, and that's it. Going forward, barring any injuries, or if somebody outplays somebody and it's time for them to be switched out. That's it. None of these head games this year. So.
But gotta have faith. Gotta have faith that Rick Dennison
I got it. Trust
can
me.
make it work. And if he can't do it, nobody can.
I just don't have faith on putting Mendoza back there right now. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
And if we don't put him back there at some point, how worthy is that first pick? And that's where I have my issues, and it's not him himself. It's just that value of that number 1 pick. Everything circles back to that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I hate
the good thing is he's fast enough to get his ass out of trouble.
Is he though?
Yeah.
At a college level? Dude, this is the pros. We're talking
He
about
ran faster than Dante Moore. His 40 time is faster than Dante Moore.
Oh my God,
Come on.
Holy crap. That was
Come
loud.
on. I know. You got me fired up. Now we're cooking. Cooking with peanut oil.
So we're cooking, huh?
We're cooking.
We're cooking? Okay. I got something for you.
Go.
Hang on. I got to find it. Because I'm playing it. I wasn't going to. I really wasn't, but I think I'm going to do it now.
Let it rip.
Let me see if this is the one. I'm going to make sure it is. Yep, this is it. Okay. So, let me pause that. This is the full one. Yes, this is it. All right. Hang on. Really wasn't going to do this. So, all right, I got to shut the phone line down for a minute. So, phone line's closed because I need to
We're having some
swap this
technical
out.
difficulty.
Share this tab.
Didn't the Raiders trade back and pass? Compare Fernando's stats versus other generational first overall picks. Starting with Joe Burrow, who Mendoza's trying to copy. Caleb Williams scored 40 more touchdowns. I see why they don't think he's ready to start week 1. When you look at his stats compared to Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young, even LA Rams first overall pick, Jared Goff, and last year's first selection, Cam Ward, they're all smoking this dude's totals. Vegas, look at 15's career compared to Baker Mayfield, who was a shocking first card, like Sam Bradford, who still dropped 20 more touchdowns, 1,000 more yards in less games than Fernando. College Eli Manning comes from a whole different era of football to beat Fernando's stats. He isn't even the best first overall pick in his family. What worries me is that these first pick all-time generational talent numbers are more like Jameis Winston's or first pick David Carr's identical stat line. Raiders might want to trade back or relive the Jamarcus Russell experience. Is this year's number 1 draft pick the most fraudulent?
Nice. Excellent.
So everybody that's been comparing him to Joe Burrow, better than Cam Ward, and all this coming out of college, just got debunked right there. Everything that he's being compared to, they're all better than him coming out of college stat-wise. Yes, they didn't win national championships or they didn't win the Heismans, whatever. But it's right there in black and white or in multicolor because it's a color video.
So
But
you're gonna piss on 41 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. You're gonna
But
piss on.
don't sit here and tell me he's better than so-and-so and he's better than so-and-so when it was just proven that he wasn't coming out of college.
I've
better
never
than
said he's better than Joe Burrow. He ain't even compared to Joe Burrow.
Did I say you? I didn't say you. I'm talking to people that are so on him, that want him so bad, but yet he's no better, if not worse, than all those other guys. And then look at the players that he did call out that he's got equal seasons to, or equal numbers to. And where are they?
Mm-hmm.
His numbers are almost equal to what Jamarcus Russell's were.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just, hey, it's all right there for you. You're looking at those numbers. I think I sent it to you. I'll send it to anybody that wants.
Oh, I've already read them.
You can watch it. You can see that his numbers are not as good as everybody thinks he is when you compare him to these guys that you're saying are better than him. Like Money Chuck the other day was telling me, oh, he's better than May. He's better than Joe Burrow. Just proved he wasn't better than Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't sit there and say, well, look what Joe Burrow had. All right, look what Mendoza had. He's got a wide receiver that's going to go in the first round more than likely, one that's going to go in the end of the second into possibly the third. He's got a running back that's going to get picked at some point. There's a defense that was great for them too. So there's a lot of things going on here. It's not just that one guy. You know, I'm still trying to change minds, okay? I really am, if you can tell.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know what
it's
you're
like,
trying to
don't
do.
sit here and tell me he's better than this. He's better than Jaden Daniels, somebody said. And look at the numbers Jaden Daniels put up versus what Mendoza's numbers are.
Mm-hmm.
Eli Manning, some people say he wasn't that great of a quarterback. You know, he had.
I take Eli Manning all day, twice on Sunday as a quarterback.
But you have people saying he's way better than Eli Manning. And someone even said he's way better than Peyton Manning. Come on. Really?
Well,
You're going to.
Could I'm going to defend you for just a second. There's a lot of people out there that get a little too enamored with what Fernando Mendoza is and who he is.
Because he ain't all that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He's
and
not what everybody.
I would be okay. I would be okay with that if it wasn't for the fact that I watched him play. Right.
Okay.
So I watched him play. Can you say the same thing? Big difference, right? Big difference. And in the key moments when he rose to the top, when it was his turn and his time to be called, he rose to the top. He did what he had to do.
Okay, and I agree with that. But don't sit there and tell me he's better than these other guys that he clearly was not better than. And I'm not saying you, but there are plenty of other people out there that say he's better than so and so and so and so, and that pretty much every name that's been called out that he's better than was on that list or in that video, and they were all better than him.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how that's equal to what people have been saying about him, how he's better than this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and it's their opinion.
You did say that the other night, Money Chuck. I'm almost positive.
No, he was saying one of the best prospects since Burrow came out.
Oh, okay. And in between Burrow and now was Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud.
You really don't put it. After what I saw last year with Jaden Daniels, I don't think he's going to have a very long career. I really don't.
Well, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about coming out of college. We're talking about that time from the college game ending to them being drafted and the hype that's put on players. There's too much hype put on players. And it's only an issue this year because we need a quarterback.
Can I say this?
It doesn't even be a question. He wouldn't be the number one pick, and he still is not number one overall in this.
Could I say this?
Go for it.
There's a lot of hype around Fernando Mendoza, but he earned it.
Did he really, though? So what? He was the only player on that. So when they went out there on the offense, there was 1 versus 11 defenders, and he was by himself out there.
He was the carburetor that fed the engine the gas. He's what made that engine run, made it purr.
Ja Rady is not far off on Genty, though, to be honest with you.
Who's that?
But that was the offensive line. It's right there in this comment.
Yeah. And I appreciate the video, but a lot of those videos are going to be made by people from other teams and whatnot. And you got to take into consideration they did, and 805 is actually 100% correct with this. They did not.
That's not 805. That's Rosetown.
No, I'm going back. I'm not referring to the chat. I'm referring to
805.
805 saying I didn't click on that. I agree with Indiana didn't put enough on his plate to showcase him to put him into that number one spot. 100% agree with that. There's the sample size. There's just the sample size is not. There's not a quantity of aha moments, at least at the beginning of the year. Towards once you got past Wisconsin and you get into the Penn State and then the UCLA game and then Ohio State game and then the both Oregon games and the Alabama game and even the Miami game. He did what was asked of him. Okay. They weren't going to have him throw the ball 50 times against that front seven. Probably one of the smartest things you can do. What do you do? How do you run at them? They took advantage of it in the first half. They knew that their stud cornerback was going to be back in the second half after the suspension. That put a kibosh on some of his ability to throw the ball in the second half. Okay. But you got to look at it from this. Okay. If you want to be pissed off at him being the number one draft pick, I can name a bunch of people. I can name a bunch of people right now you should blame. Listen,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to give you a bunch of names that you can blame for him being the number one pick. You ready? Akeem Messidor, Ruben Bain, Stunny Styles, Arvell Reese, Tate, McDonald, Thieneman. Should I keep going? Every one of them had a chance to knock his dick in the dirt and keep him from being the number one pick, and they didn't. So guess what? He earned the right.
Or the coach's decision in the Miami game to not start their corner because he missed his curfew, didn't play the whole first half.
I thought that was a targeting penalty, first half targeting from the previous game.
I thought it was because he missed. Either way, he didn't play the first half.
Is what it is.
Look how he played in the second half of that game. What did he do? He wasn't. He had that one run.
Tampa Bay didn't feel sorry for us when Barrett Robbins was down in Tijuana.
Who said we're feeling sorry?
Guy gets suspended. He gets suspended. You play with who you play with.
What, say that again? What'd you just say?
He got suspended, right?
Who did?
The cornerback for Miami.
Yeah.
Okay.
But how are you comparing that to Barrett Robbins?
He got suspended, didn't play in the Super Bowl.
He never would have made the Super Bowl anyway. He was so twerked out of his mind anyway when they found him. He didn't even know where the fuck he was.
Okay.
There was no way he was playing in that game. They didn't find him till like in the afternoon of the Super Bowl.
But he didn't play, right?
He couldn't there's no way he could have physically played that day.
You're missing the point. The point is Tampa Bay wasn't going to feel sorry for us.
No, why would they?
Indiana ain't going to feel sorry for Miami because they suspended their best player on the defense in the secondary.
Whatever. You know what I mean, though.
Well, I know what you mean. I'm just trying to make
It's hard to tell. Robin's going to slip the Mickey by Gruden. I'm sorry. That just when you get the number one draft pick, man, there's just so much you can do with it instead of just settling on the best that happens to be the best QB that this draft. That's not even the number one consensus overall pick. He only is because we're picking number one and we need a quarterback. That's it.
And we needed a number one quarterback for how long?
Oh God. Who knows?
I mean that's a question that you and I don't know how that conversation is taking place. It's the guys in Henderson that are having that conversation as to.
And all I know is when they put that notice
that chance.
All I know is when they put that notification out that they're having a draft party with the number one draft pick on that Friday, they didn't put a name to it, so that still tells me everything's open. If they would have said, "Oh, have to, spend the day with,"
I know you're holding that hope.
What's I am? Why wouldn't I? Because I can see what this team can do for the future. Talking about adding, either a top defender. You want your corner so bad? There's your chance to get, or your safety. There's your chance to get him. That's the only way you're going to get him. You ain't going to get him unless you take him number one, first of all. If you trade out of that, now you can take him. You can grab a top offensive. You can get the guy that you want as a left tackle.
Yeah.
Or you can make another decision and get the wide receiver. Everything's wide open right now with Kirk Cousins here. That's the thing. When you've got a bona fide starter in this roster now with a quarterback, I don't care what anybody says about Cousins. Cousins is still Cousins. The guy can still throw. The guy can still play ball. Okay?
Is he a winner?
Pretty much, yeah. Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know.
You look at certain content creators, they don't want him to win anyway because they want a better draft pick next year. They want us to throw games this year.
That I saw that. Thank you so much.
That is the most ridiculous
thing.
That
was dumb.
How can you call yourself a Raider fan and put that out there like that you want the team to lose? I said this last night, and I had somebody send me a PM on Instagram, like, who the hell said that? And I sent them the video. I said, this is it right here. They were shocked. Absolutely shocked. It's like, that is the most ridiculous take I've ever seen or ever heard. And it's basically, it's all clickbait. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Got a shit ton of people commented, and I refuse to comment on it. I'm not going to give him that option or that gratification that he's getting in response. It's just a stupid take for that reason. Yeah, I agree, Sal. I don't want to take. The whole goal as an organization is to win. That's the whole point of playing a game, a sport, a kid's game, is to win the game or win games in the season, not to lose so you can get a better draft pick next year so we can get the top wide receiver next year. Tell me how that makes sense.
That's an idiotic take on.
Of course it is.
Going forward. It shouldn't even have been the thought last year. But I think by I think by week 8 it was like, you know what? At this point, screw it. You know what I mean? There's
It's
no
late in the season like last year. Yeah, I get it. I mean, at that point, it's like
yeah. There comes a point in time you
we
get
were
to a
so
certain point in the
confident.
season. There's no.
I mean, we were, like I keep saying, we organically tanked. We didn't even have to try. We were just that bad.
But it goes back to that year that we fired Josh McDaniels and promoted AP, right? And it was like we were the sawdust at the bottom of the barn. It was all moldy, man. I tell you, we sucked bad. And all of a sudden, AP takes over, and it's like, we went 5-4 the last 9 games, and we were actually in the number 2 position at that point in the draft. Well, we could have got Jaden Daniels, but no, we had to win, which is great. I enjoyed every minute of that last 9 games. You know, I had a lot of fun those last 9 games. It was, one, we got rid of Josh McDaniels. I couldn't stand that fool, so he was out the door. I saw the guys were having fun playing, which makes me feel better as a fan to know that they're out there, they're having fun. Last year, they weren't having fun. That's what made it even more miserable. And you saw it in Philadelphia. You even said when they came out of the top, only one guy looked like he wanted to play. The other 52 looked like they wanted to go home right now.
It was horrible, absolutely disgusting. And then a week later, they go to Houston and almost beat the Houston Texans with the best defense in the league. And we made them look ridiculous that day. And we almost won that game. But yet a week before in Philadelphia, they did not want to be there. You know?
But we're talking about leadership, right?
Yeah. We were supposed to win 10 games last year. Yeah, remember? Yeah. But here's the thing, people say that, we didn't have the quarterback in the past. You look at the team that Josh McDumdum inherited when he got here. He inherited a playoff team and totally destroyed it. So we were on the right path. That last year that Gruden was here, the team was going in the right direction. Unfortunately, what happened to him happened. Ruggs happened. We made the playoffs. We didn't win, so on. But we were a playoff contending team. We had the quarterback at that time. We had the pieces to the puzzle. You had Waller. You had Josh Jacobs back there. You had Max on the defense. We had a good team. We were going in the right direction.
Had a good offense. Had a stout offense. The defense, on the other hand, was a little suspect.
In a while, we had a team that was in the playoffs. Then dipshit comes in and totally destroys it. Runs the wheels off of Josh Jacobs his first year here as the head coach. I mean, totally, which I get it. I mean, we were a running team, but ran the wheels off the kid. Didn't want to pay him comes the next year. So they're like, well, we're going to let him go. See you later. We don't want to sign you. We don't want to pay you, even though you played like hell the year before. It just blows my mind how we were set up at that point for this team. And then that idiot comes in and totally changes everything. Would we have been better with Bisaccia? Who knows? You'll never know that.
And it's just kind of, I'm leaning a little bit on what I see so far with the head coach that we just selected, or that we just got, this head coach and his coaching staff, at least on the offensive side of the ball, is they're more in tune to work with the type of player that they have to make them successful and not make the player work towards their playbook to make them happy. Because that was Josh McDaniels' problem, was it's my playbook, my way. You're going to do it my way, or else. Whereas it's like, okay, these are Derek Carr's strengths. We're going to play to your strengths. I'm not going to make you, I'm not going to make you do things, And he thinks he's God's gift to the quarterback position. And I hate to say this, but the last 4 games last year, the Patriots, I know they made the Super Bowl. The quarterback really wasn't that good. I think he had only like 90 yards passing in his championship game.
Well, I don't, here's my take on that. I don't necessarily think it was, the guy got sacked. I forget what it was, but it was a record number of sacks in the playoffs last year for him.
Yeah.
How much was it on him? I can't give him the full blame on it because the left side of that line tanked.
Mhm.
You know, that kid Campbell was horrible in the playoffs and was absolutely miserable in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was getting burned left and right. All right. So
Mhm.
both the left tackle and the left guard broke down last year big time. They were good during the season because they were playing a shitty set of teams. You know,
Mhm.
once they got to tough competition in the playoffs, all bets were off at that point. And I'll tell you, the only reason they beat Denver is because Denver didn't have Bo Nix start. If that Bo Nix was starting that game, they would have beat them.
Mhm.
They would have beat the Patriots.
No.
You know, because, and I think they would have given Seattle a better game too, because you're talking about a much better defense than what the Patriots had too.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I
Patriots
think
had
that. Yeah, Denver. I think Denver would have been a little bit tougher match for the Seahawks.
Yeah, the Patriots were overmatched in that Super Bowl. It was horrible.
Yeah, and it was evident from the beginning.
What's up, Levi? What's going on, brother?
We got some new guys coming in here as well. Probably gonna have to work from the back up. So in a roundabout way, we were talking about leadership earlier. And what do you look for in the quarterback as far as leadership? What do you think? What do you think is his best attribute when it comes to leadership?
I mean, I hate to use this guy as an example, but you gotta look at the best quarterback to ever play the game. You gotta look at, and I think of two quarterbacks when I think this. I think of Tom Brady and I think of Joe Montana. You gotta look at somebody that can calm the huddle down. And Joe Montana was that type of guy. Nothing rattled him, it seemed. He was always calm, cool, and collective. Because if you're behind and everybody's on tense and on edge, you need that voice that can calm you down. And then you also need that guy that's going to get in your face and give you shit like Tom Brady did. You know, you saw what he was like on the field. I hate using him as an example, but that's just the way he was. Joe Montana had a calmer demeanor to him. I mean, again, I know I say this. We everybody says this too. Is that Super Bowl when he looks over in the stands and sees John Candy and they're in the huddle and they're losing at this point, and he says, "Oh look, John Candy," and everybody turns and looks. What the fuck? We're at our own 10-yard line. We're losing this game right now, and then boop, 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 right down the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of relaxed everybody because it took their mind off of it for a second, and then everybody settled and bang, they went for it. You know, Tom Brady was that vocal, get in your face type of quarterback. So you had two different styles there, but they were both effective. You know, so you need a combination of that right now, kind of. I think. You know, I don't know what you're going to get with Mendoza. You know, how well is he going to be received by guys that have been in the league for a few years? You know, are they just going to fall in line with him, or are they going to look at him, dude, you're just a geek, but you know, all right, let's go. You know, you don't know how they're going to handle him. Everybody takes people a certain way. I come off as rough and abrasive sometimes.
No.
Well, people in the chat like me or they don't like me. I don't care if you like me or not. That's me. What you see here is what you see in person.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you need that vocal leader.
Yeah.
But you also
First and foremost, the quarterback, though, what I look for in a quarterback is when can they command the huddle? Can they get the guys lined up in the huddle, get the play called, and they can look through his face masks and have confidence that he can run the play and not be scared. Right? So that's important. And then from a leadership aspect as a quarterback is, you know, if one of your receivers drops a pass or makes a bad play or a guard misses a tackle, is not to come unglued and act like a spaz in front of God and everybody and belittle them. That's not leadership. That's just, you know, that's bad interpersonal relationships. And that's the most important thing with the leader is having those good, positive interpersonal relationships with those players. Knowing, excuse me, knowing that when they go out on the field and they buckle their chin straps together, all of them at the same time, they're all going to work together. And the field general, the quarterback, has to be the most respected of all of them when that happens. Okay. Now, as far as the plays being made, Brady, Montana, Peyton, Roger Staubach was really good at that as well.
But see, his and I wanted to bring this up because of the additional name he put in there, and I wasn't even thinking of him, to be honest with you. But Peyton Manning Peyton Manning was a different breed of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning was, as far as I'm concerned, he's my favorite, non-Raider quarterback. Even unfortunately, when he went to Denver, that was the only thing. I hated that he went to Denver because I liked watching him play.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like the general of the head coach on the field.
Mm-hmm.
The head coach didn't have to worry about anything with him out there.
Yeah.
He didn't really have to call plays into him. He knew what he was doing out there. He was calling the plays right there in the huddle or at the line.
Yeah.
Because that's how good he was.
Yeah.
He was that level-headed, and he had such a football mind. I mean, look at the size of his head. He had a huge brain in there,
So, hey, but those of you guys that are in the chat, man, hey, thanks for coming in tonight. The phone lines are open. 401-830. I think it's right there. Show. It's not showing. 830-9189. Dial that number. Call into Jeff. Speak your piece. Have a take. Don't suck. I can listen to the conversation. I can hear you guys, but I can't talk to you. We are working on that. There's some technical issues. I think it's we're going to have to probably get some resources to help us out with that, but we'll get it figured out so where both of us can talk to you at the same time. But but one of the things, so they talk about specifically with Fernando Mendoza is he going to be able to be a leader of men coming into the NFL, right? I have a hot take on that because a lot of people have used an excuse as to the reason why Indiana was so good is because they had a bunch of 25 and 26-year-olds on that football team, right? Makes sense. Are you seeing where I'm going with this now?
You keep cutting out. I don't know what's going on. Because you freeze and then you kind of.
So, am I still cutting out?
You're right. Right now, you're okay.
Okay.
But you started talking and then you froze out.
It might be. You know what? I have a tab running in the background. That's why I got this old Commodore 128 I'm using to broadcast on. So no, the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of time, and it dawned on me that it's like, okay, can he be a leader of men? Can he be a leader of NFL men, grown men, guys that are 25, 26, 27 years old, right? Been in the league, right? But he just did that at Indiana because supposedly Indiana had 24, 25, 26-year-old men. So he's already been in that position. So as far as an age and maturity thing, and he's way more mature than people are going to give him credit for. And so when he steps into that building or into that huddle, he's not going to expect it because he's already said I got to earn that equity. That's something I have to earn.
How old is he?
22. Which is a pretty good age for coming out as a quarterback. He's only 9 months older than Arch Manning. So, he's mature, extremely intelligent, and we all know that. There's no disputing that. I mean, you just from academics, just his academics and how he presents himself. He's not a dumb kid by any means. Now, how much of a passion does he have for the game? How much is he going to be willing to put in, day in and day out? Because and I know number one picks have a tendency to do what? Feel entitled when they get to the NFL. I'm the number one pick. And it's kind of like they just nonchalant. There's a lot of great quarterbacks that came into the NFL number one pick. Carson Palmer's a perfect example of it. That guy could have been way better if he had just done a little bit more. Now, he did get banged up quite a bit. Don't get me wrong, in Cincinnati. But he also was chasing the dollar. It seemed like the dollar was more important than the victories. And then obviously when he played with us, it was most definitely the money. But there's a lot of guys. Jeff George was another one. I think could have been a really good quarterback in the NFL had he just maybe put a little bit more effort into it as far as the studies and things like that. Because there was times where you'd see Jeff George play, you go, man, he's good. And then other times you go, oh, wow, this guy's a train wreck. So we just hope that I mean, and it's obvious, and I hate to say this, and I know you wince every time we say it, but we're gonna pick him. The writing's pretty much on the wall. But I also I want all of those that are pro Mendoza to realize this too. Don't turn and look at the guys that are anti-Mendoza and point your finger at them, because it could easily flip the other direction in just a few games. So if he comes out and he has a bad game, we're all in this together. Whoever we pick, we're all in this together, no matter what. Okay? So we can like or we can dislike. It ain't going to matter. Because ultimately, it's Spytek, it's Brady that are making that decision. They're making that decision to take the number one quarterback, or the quarterback at the number one position. Is he the best number one quarterback coming out in recent years? That's, we can sit and debate all we want, but the proof is going to be in the pudding when he puts on the silver and black. Right? So he could be better than what we thought he was going to be, or he could be a lot worse than what we thought he was going to be. But at the same time, I don't expect anybody to say, I told you so, because I ain't going to do it. Because ultimately, all that I want is Raiders first downs. Then eventually I'm going to change it to Raiders touchdowns. That's what we want. Raiders touchdowns.
It'll be Genty running it in.
I don't care. If Fernando only throws 15 touchdowns, but we still win 10 games, take it all day long. Right? I mean, that's not going to that's not a prediction.
Yeah.
I don't care how we win, as long as we win. Right?
I think everybody felt that way about Jeff George when he got here, that he was going to be good here.
Yeah. I thought Carson Palmer was going to be, because that team was cooking with Jason Campbell. And then all of a sudden they made that trade for Carson Palmer. And I'm like, okay, they want to win. And lo and behold, that wasn't the case. So still went 8-8, which is better than what we've done the last 3 years. Yeah, and that's just it. That last chat that you just put up. Ultimately, the quarterback and the coach, the marriage, is way more important than just the quality of the coach or the quality of the quarterback. It's those two coming together as a union and being able to do it together. And I mean, because let's face it, Gruden and Gannon were perfect for each other, right? They were perfect for each other. And Gannon never had that, and Gruden never had that. Right? And I've used this as an example in the past. I'll do it again. Joe Montana isn't Joe Montana without Bill Walsh. Brett Favre isn't Brett Favre without Mike Holmgren. Okay? Patrick Mahomes isn't Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid. Okay? And I think Joe Burrows could be a hell of a lot better if they got him a better head coach. Can you imagine Joe Burrow with Clint Kubiak? And Kubiak hasn't even been a head coach yet. But just picture him as an offensive coordinator with Joe Burrow.
Trade the number one for Joe Burrow.
Huh?
We'll trade the number one.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Huh?
In fact, I would be like, damn, that is
it's hard
probably
to do that now that Kirk Cousins is here, to be honest with you. If Kirk wasn't, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Nah, and Joe Burrow's contract it's pretty fat. So you have a tendency to lose a little bit. But I mean, if we trade, maybe we could trade Max Crosby to Cincinnati for Joe Burrow.
You got Joe Burrow and Cousins on the team together. Who's starting?
Huh?
That's an expensive duo for quarterback.
We're only paying Kirk Cousins backup money.
but still,
we're paying we're paying him less than what we paid Marcus Mariota. so that's a good trade. I'm okay with that.
Real quick, I just want to bring this up here. Nope, not that. This. Just anybody that's familiar with this gentleman. This is Baron Raider. He's actually in the chat. He was a little bit ago. It's Levi. He's going to be partaking in a charity poker tournament in Pittsburgh put on by the Philly Sports Guy. It's at that location, which is Kupka's Cafe 2 in Pittsburgh on Wednesday, April 22nd. The Venmo is there. Basically, it doesn't have to donate any amount that you want if you want to donate. He's playing for dyslexia. What was the name of it? I'm sorry, I can't see it. Hold on. I apologize. Give me 1 second. But he's playing for that charity. So any amount that you want to donate, basically for every $100 combined that he puts together, they give him $1,000 in poker chips. There is no buy-in. It's Decoding Dyslexia. It's a charity in Iowa, the state that he lives in. So this is going to be all super fans that are going to be there. This is going to be covered by a lot of media. So there's going to be NFL Network's going to be there. Supposedly Amazon's going to be there. Fox Sports is going to be there. I think he said something about Netflix is going to be there. ESPN will be there. So this is going to be a highly publicized event. Starts at 6 o'clock and it's going to go until it ends, basically. Mm-hmm. So anybody wants to donate, that's the Venmo for it. Anything you want to donate is fine. There's no payout to the player. Whatever the player wins, that's going towards that charity. So his charity happens to be Decoding Dyslexia. That's his charity. So if he wins the pot, he gets 65% of whatever the pot is, and that goes to that charity. Second place gets 35% of the pot. So I will be at that event that night. I will definitely be there supporting him and cheering him on. Anybody that does go, they are going to be doing 50-50 raffles there. So it's just another event that's going on in Pittsburgh that week. So if you're in the area, if you're going, make sure you check it out. Anybody that wants to support him, that's his Venmo. The QR code works. I made sure of it. I had tested it multiple times. So, and we'll hear back from him at some point as to how he did, or I'll let you all know because, like I said, I will be there. So I promised him I would bring that up tonight, and I wanted to do that before we got too far into the show tonight.
Yeah.
So
boss, I did put together a couple polls. The only problem is I tested it out on the vertical, and it does kind of cut us off right about here.
That's fine.
So if you want to run the polls, we could do that. It's up to you.
Yeah, go for it. Put it up because it'll go to all the channels. So that's the good thing. So the next topic I really want to get into now, this kind of ties into where we're going. So, we talked about the offensive line and what our feeling is, or specifically how I feel about it, how Jason feels, and the chat chimed in too. So Jason just put up a poll. Where should we draft with the number 36 pick? So we're circling back to getting back on topic here. So just type that number in the chat. Type number 1, 2, 3, or 4 for whichever one you want. So if you press 1, you want defensive tackle. Cornerback is secondary, hit a 2. Number 3, wide receiver. Number 4, offensive line. So we want to kind of get a feel from the chat on what you guys think. Where's your mindset with this? Because at this point, that number 36 pick will define this team. Because there's so much that we can do with this. Did the poll disappear?
As soon as you brought the banner up.
Did it go away?
No, it's still running.
Oh, okay.
So far, we got one vote. And just so you know, the rules of this is a StreamYard poll. It's new to our StreamYard account.
Yeah.
You only get one vote. So type it in. This will
Jump
kind of got another poll that's probably going to get a little lively, but just run this. We'll run this for the next 15 minutes. Get you type 1 if you want a defensive tackle. Number 2 if you want quarterback or secondary. You think we should go that route. Number 3 if we think we should go wide receiver. Number 4 offensive line. I would have put a 5th one in there, trade back, get more picks, but it wouldn't let me put that 5th one in there. So you guys in the chat, let it rip, man. It's right there. Start typing in.
So with going with this, with the pick 36 defining this team, basically everybody's focused on the number 1, but we already know what's going on with number 1. It's going to be Mendoza. So we're not looking at the flashy pick. So basically at this point, this number 36 pick is going to really make or break us, to be honest with you. Do we do that wide? Do we go that wide receiver? Do we go the defensive tackle, which I think majority of the people outside of this poll right now, there's only been a couple votes. A lot of people have been, a lot of fans have been saying we need a defensive tackle, and that's where I'm at. I am at the defensive tackle on my end, because I think if we can lock down one side of the ball, this is going to help us lock down that defense. That front line, the linebackers, it's going to be a pretty solid unit if we can lock up a defensive tackle. If we had the ability to, I'd be all for trying to get Dexter Lawrence in here. Are you absolutely crazy? Absolutely, I would. Because you bring a guy in with him, you look at his stats. I looked at him yesterday when the news broke that he's, he wants out of New York. So there's something going on in New York now, too, with the Giants organization. When you look at his stats for defensive tackle, in the years that he's been in the league, he's got half of what Max has for sacks. He's got 30 sacks as a nose tackle. That's a lot for a nose tackle. That just goes to show you the penetration he gets into that backfield. And how not only is he just a gap filler, but he's a dominating force up front. You ain't going to get that out of this draft. I'm sorry. You're not going to get a guy like that right now. He may turn into that, but you got a guy that if we could somehow pull it off and bring him here, that type of player, that physical ability, that defensive front just jumped another whole massive notch, to be honest with you. That just takes more pressure off that secondary, and we're all complaining about how weak our secondary is, how we need corners, we need a safety. That will take pressure off of what we have now, where we can take one later in the draft that could possibly step up and take over, Palomaro's spot, or even supplant Stokes. You don't know. We have no clue what this defense is going to look like with this new set now. So you get a guy like that, my guy. Oh my Lord, that would be a game changer.
Yeah.
But again, there's other options. Do we go the wide receiver? Do we go offensive line? I'm on defensive tackle. Jason, you're on the tackle too?
I'm on defensive tackle. I think defensive tackle is kind of like where our poll is right now. I'm right about 60% defensive tackle. I'm more cornerback secondary than I am wide receiver. But there are some round 1 gem receivers that are probably going to fall at 36. That's looking like that now. And lo and behold, if a couple of them are there, I'm picturing if they do fall to 36, we do have to. I mean, it's almost like you got to go, because I can tell you right now, the 3rd and 4th round, there's some really good defensive tackles in that. One of them, Chris McClellan from Missouri, is right around that 70 to 90 range in there in the draft spot. And that guy is, I like him. I like him a lot. So I guess I could cast a vote too, right?
Yeah, I just did. Let's see. Who do you think does the dirty work? But so again, with that 36 pick, this is that kind of a make or break. This is the chance to fix the team or chase highlights, basically. And by that I mean, you're building it right, or you're chasing, chances that like, oh, this guy had this one phenomenal play. We're chasing a highlight reel instead of, the dirty, the down and gritty, making a difference with this team instead of just like, we're going for a flash in the pan type of player.
Mhm.
So again, this is a valuable number 36 is huge. Would it have been as big if we still had the 14 or if we moved around the first round? No, because then now that becomes your biggest move. That second pick in the first round becomes your make or break. Because you have to, if you're going to pick another pick in the first round, you have to make sure you're hitting on that one also.
Mhm.
You got to hit on the number one. You got to pray to God that number one pick that you use this for works out in the long run. Because if it doesn't, it's always going to be looked at as another Jamarcus Russell. And that's what you have to deal with. And that's what you have to always worry about. So you want to see this kid have success. I don't want another failed quarterback. I don't want to be tied to another year of, well, we drafted wrong again. I want this kid to come in and succeed. That's how you know when you're a true fan. No matter whether you like the kid or not, if he's here, you got to support him. How can you not? How can you sit here and say you want him to fail? I don't want him to fail.
But also too, and if he goes into this season as the starting quarterback, or he starts at some point in his quarterback, we can't really judge his failures this year. You can't. You got to look at some of the successes. You got to look at some of the successes that he has when he does have those successes, and can he expand on those, right? And I'm confident Kubiak is going to keep it very, very, very subtle. Not going to overexpose him to, dynamic plays and things like that. He's basically going to give enough to Fernando that he's going to test to see how much he can handle. So, yes, phone lines are open. Call in now, 401-830-9189. Talk to Jeff. Tell him how you feel.
Talk to us.
Well, they talk to you. They don't talk. They talk at me, not to me. So, so once again, I'm going to keep the poll up for 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Final call for the first poll of the night. Where should we draft with the number 36 pick? Number 1, type 1, if you think it should be a defensive tackle. Type 2, if you think it should be a cornerback or secondary. Type 3, if it's a wide receiver. Or type 4, if you think we should draft an offensive lineman.
And the other banner I had up here too, don't repeat the same mistake. Basically, this is repeating the same mistake we made last year in the second round. We went for, we went for a skill player, with Betch, and how well did that work out? But again, it's still, you look at that regime last year, they didn't do any players that we brought in last year any favors. None of them got a fair shake or a fair deal. No. The only one I think that when he was given the chance, because he got a chance to play a lot, didn't show his true ability, it was definitely Thornton. Betch kind of made the best of what he could for the very limited time he was out there. 20 balls thrown his way, he caught 10. Thornton had 30 thrown to him, he caught 10. The kid, you can't teach how to move your fingers to catch the ball. You know what I'm saying?
It's got to be natural.
Yeah, you got to have that ability to be able to, couple the ball in your hands, or the whole watching the ball with your eyes. The second your eyes twitch a bit, you're going to lose track of that ball, and if you're not watching it into your hands, you're not going to catch it. It's the same way when you play baseball. If you didn't watch the ball into your glove, you're not going to catch it. It's going to go between your legs. Bill Buckner, Boston Red Sox, 1986. Yep. Fucking Mets.
Alrighty, so poll is getting ready to close, and
it jumped up.
Yeah,
Wide receiver jumped in. Offensive
there you
line.
go.
Would you close it?
Yep, close the poll. I got another one.
Oh, all right. But taking that skill player, and this is where, getting that defensive tackle, like I said, does numbers for that defensive unit, and we'll answer some of the questions in the secondary for sure. So, how confident are you that Fernando Mendoza can be a legitimate quarterback for the Raiders? Type 1 if you feel extremely confident, type 2 confident, type 3 not very confident, and type 4 don't really care.
And Jeff, you can only vote once.
On my channel.
Huh? Oh, you're going to jump around to other people's channels and vote for them?
Let's see. There we go. Hey,
now you're going to use your wife's account. And
if I'm not doing it right, I'm
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Yeah.
Did you type in the chat in here?
Yeah.
It's not going to work that way.
Yeah, I did.
Well, that's not right because you typed me a 2, prick.
You've already voted. Once you vote once, that's it. You don't vote. You don't get your vote doesn't count twice.
Let's see. Where am I here? Oh, let's see if this works. Let's try this. 3.
Now you're starting to act like a Democrat. We ain't doing that.
Hey, it's a Raider. If I'm not cheating, I'm not doing it right. Remember?
Yeah. Well, you know, elections have consequences.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Let's see. I've done it. X, Facebook. 3 times.
but I think it only allows you to vote. Yeah. So you voted 3, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah. Well, knowing you as much as I know you, you voted 3. Only 2 voted. Only 2 votes counted. So your Facebook one did go through.
Whatever. Alexa, how good is Mendoza? Alexa, fuck do I know? Ciao, Raider. Oh, it's even across the board. 33 repeating, of course.
Technically, it's 66% to 33%.
Why is that?
Because out of 66% is voted at least confident or more.
Don't forget, folks, the phone lines are open. Oh, it's 401-830-9189. Come on, guys. We want to hear from you tonight.
We've got one phone call, and it's obviously the best phone call we've had all week. So if you guys can outdo that, we'd appreciate it.
Last week we had like 12 phone calls.
Yeah, we had 12 phone calls last week. Hey, who knows? Maybe people got things to do tonight. I don't know.
What's there to do? It's Saturday night.
There's nothing better than joining us on a Saturday night.
You got to be to bed early because you got to go to church in the morning. Except for me, I don't go to church.
Actually,
What can happen in 2 weeks? Absolutely, linebacker. What's up, brother? How you been? Haven't seen you in a while. And just a friendly reminder to everybody. Don't forget, I do have memberships available on my channel. They start at 99 cents. So if you want to become a member, go for it. It's 99 cents a month. Like I said last night on my show, remember Sally Struthers when she would do those commercials? For 25 cents a month, you can feed a family in whatever country. So 99 cents a month, you become a member of the 401 Raider Familia. So,
trust me, I'm already there, and it's like,
no, because it definitely. I'll tell you what. Like I said last night, it definitely helps. Because it takes a lot to do the stuff we do. It's shit ain't free.
And I probably won't be allowed to put polls together anymore because. We got people. We got Coach
What the hell?
sipping Jamba Juice coming in. Alex,
SNL is
3591.
people might be getting their laugh, but people still watch SNL.
Yeah, I quit watching that a lot.
I do too. I just watch it on.
Chris
I watch-
Farley was the best, and after Chris Farley in that group, it was like not as good.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
What's that?
It hasn't been good since '76.
Well, the thing of it is in 2000, I started working nights, and I worked nights for 18 years and a lot of Saturday nights. So I'd be at work when it would be on. So I just lost touch with. I
was
lost
working
connection.
Saturday nights at the station, so I always got to watch it.
Yeah,
or
but
at
you guys
least-
sat around and watched Saturday Night Live. It wasn't
Well, that's it.
on.
Well, we got paid to
Thursday.
sit and watch TV and do other things until the bells
Yeah.
hit.
Not me. I was actually out doing stuff.
There you go, Coach. Hasn't been good since '82. So he's one of those guys too.
So in the poll that's up there, just type 1, extremely confident. 2,
Somebody tweeted.
3, not very confident, and 4, really don't care. You get 1 vote. As soon as you type in a comment your number of choice and you hit send, that is it. Your vote is counted.
So hit number 3. Everybody, make sure you type a 3 in the chat.
Are you giving out free memberships if they do?
If you hate the Chargers, the
So you're
Chiefs,
buying votes, is what you're
or the-
doing. You're
or
buying
the-
votes.
or the Broncos, type a 3 in the chat.
Starting to sound like Kamala buying votes here.
If you don't like anybody in the AFC West other than the Raiders, type a 3. Everybody put a 3 in the chat.
But as we get going, this poll is gonna get live. Might even cause a fight or
So
two.
John Rader says if Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams were this year's draft, the debate would be who is better, Daniels or Williams. Mendoza wouldn't even be mentioned. You're absolutely right.
He'd be mentioned, but he would
Don't-
get it probably. Oh, he would. Oh, he definitely is better than Penix.
Huh?
Definitely better. He's better than Penix.
Nobody said Penix.
So that's who went number 8 in that draft.
Yeah, but he said if Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams were this year's draft, the debate would be who is better, Daniels or Williams. Mendoza wouldn't even be mentioned.
Okay, so and I agree with that, and that's I'm okay with that.
I don't know where you got
Absolutely.
Penix.
I am absolutely okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Mendoza is not all that, but he has intangibles and football smarts to be a good QB in the league. See, that's what kills me, to be a good QB. So it sound, and I'm telling you, you listen to the way a lot of people talk about him that still want him, will sit there and say he'll be a good QB.
Mhm.
Is that what you want? You want
Yeah.
a good QB, or do you want a great future QB, possibly?
Well,
So when you tell me you want a good QB, then that means you want a Trevor Lawrence, or you want a Baker Mayfield, a mediocre to
Okay.
good quarterback that can win you games, but just can't get you there.
Mhm.
What good is that?
what are those 2 quarterbacks missing?
I don't know. You tell me. What are they missing?
Maybe better coaching. Now you gotta understand. Trevor Lawrence, until you got Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence was average at best. With Liam Cohen, he's gonna ascend. He's gonna be a formidable quarterback going forward.
Oh, Tanner Jack, I love you, bro, but I can't agree with that one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's a reach, brother. First of all, he hasn't even been drafted. We don't even know what he's going to look like on the field or how he's going to be for this team. Yeah. No, no. That's why I giggle when I see these people. When I see fans or analysts and these so-called experts say that they're this guy. He's the next this, the next that. How can you say that?
What are some of the things that you've seen in Fernando Mendoza that makes you think he should not be the number 1 quarterback?
The support of everything around him on the team. We ain't got that. If you haven't look around. We ain't got that right now.
Okay.
We don't have the offensive line.
So
yet.
if we drafted Peyton Manning in this draft, would it be any different?
I'd say the same thing. We don't have what he had in college that made him so great. We don't have a running game. You can't sit here and say we got a running game. We've got Ashton Genty. We still don't know what he can do at an NFL level to the fullest extent. We don't have an offensive line like he had in Indiana. We don't have nowhere near the wide receivers he had. The one thing we do have that he didn't have is we've got a tight end that's the best in the league. Okay. He had a hell of a defense too. We ain't got that yet. We look like we do on paper. We've got the potential to have a just as good of a defense that's going to give him hopefully short field advantage when he gets the ball back on offense. But we don't have the same mix of talent on this offense that he had in Indiana. You can't tell me that we do.
What's that?
Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know. What did he have for talent? What did he have for talent? What did he have? What did he have for talent on the versus what other teams had?
What is that? I don't get it.
I don't know. Ohio State had more talent on offense than Fernando Mendoza.
Okay, and they probably didn't have what are you getting at, though?
No, what I'm getting at is he did what he was supposed to do as a field general, as a quarterback, to win those games. He made the plays when it counted.
Okay.
That in and of itself.
Well, what did he do to when it counted? What type of plays was he doing? Was he throwing the ball to two great wide receivers? One that's going to probably go in maybe the first round. We don't have a first round wide receiver on this roster, so there's that. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so we can go get us. Eventually we're going to have to get a wide receiver, correct?
Okay, but we're not going to get that. Do you think we're going to?
But those receivers, hold on, those receivers and those running backs were not grade A talent when they got to Indiana. They weren't. They were James Madison transfers and 2-star recruits. They weren't the 4 and 5-star recruits that were over at Ohio State, or the ones that were over at Alabama, or the ones that were at Oregon. Big difference. So hold on. Their talent level coming in to college was way less than what those other teams are that Indiana competed against and beat, with Fernando Mendoza as their quarterback.
Okay.
So you have to. There is a line in the sand that is going to tell you that he was the straw that stirred that drink. You have to go back and you got to watch it. You're taking other people's freaking word for it. Go back and watch those games, and turn the volume off. Don't listen to the announcers. Turn the volume on and just watch, and you go, "Wow, that was an incredible play." It will help you. I guarantee you, it will help you. It will help you. I still don't think it's worthy. Well, then stay with. Do me this. Do me this favor. I don't care about Fernando Mendoza. Period. I don't want him as a quarterback. I don't care. I don't care if he won a Heisman. I don't care if he won a national championship. I just don't want a quarterback in this draft, because I feel that at this moment with our team, it is not necessary. We need to trade back.
Worthy of that number 1 pick. I'm sorry.
How do you know?
No quarterback worthy of the number 1 pick in this draft.
How do you know he's not worthy of a number 1 pick? Because I can tell you right now, there's a buttload of general managers who get paid millions of dollars that know more than me and you do, that say he is worthy of a number 1 pick.
Then let them trade up and get it. Then they want him. They think he's a number 1 pick. Then go get him.
And that's where I'm going to hang my hat on that.
First round is in a second round pick, and guess what? He's yours.
Because it's going to be this. It's going to be the same thing with like when you're going through.
If we find out when the season starts that we were offered 3 first rounders and possibly a second rounder by a team, and we turned it down, I will lose my mind. Because you want to talk about build, and again, I talked about this during the week. The foundation of the team. You want to talk about building a foundation? You've got that ability to do that with this draft pick, with that number 1 pick. That number 1 pick is more valuable than just one player.
What's your scenario? So your scenario is in 3 years or 4 years,
Mhm.
You find out that we were offered a buttload of picks in this draft for somebody to go up and get Fernando. Instead, we took him. Right? Is that what you're
Yep.
saying? Okay.
Yep. Especially if
Okay.
he doesn't turn out to be what everybody thinks he is.
Okay.
That's going to hurt. And I'm telling you, it's going to come out that if it
And
does
you
come out.
think, and you absolutely positively think he is not going to turn out to be a good.
No, I don't
quarterback,
I don't
or
believe
even
in it at all. I think the hype on him is strictly his name,
who.
Arch Manning.
I
I don't.
don't. But if you watch the last 4 or 5 games of last year, he really started to.
Granted, yeah, I mean, he's
Started
got
to
enough whole season to prove me wrong. But I think a lot of because even when he was a freshman, the hype was because he's a Manning.
Mhm.
Everybody already had him slated to be that guy in the future.
Mhm.
Until you show me otherwise, if he does something on the idea of like what Mendoza did, the stats, the championship, and everything, and all right, he's got that pedigree that adds to it too. Then maybe we're talking. But would I still take him? I'm not taking Mendoza as not a number 1 draft pick. I'm sorry. With what you
Why?
could do with that pick,
Why? Because
you've got aging guys.
because the team he played on.
About replacing. You've got Max that's only going to be here for a couple more years. How
Okay.
long is Butler going to be good for us?
We already traded Max Crosby once.
Yeah, and we got him back. He boomeranged back to us because they
Okay.
screwed him. Colton Miller, how long is he going to be around for? We still have shit-ass wide receivers. We don't have a second running back right now that we can reliably count on. Michael Mayer, how many more chances are we going to give him? Tyree, he sucks. We're going to have to worry about replacing him at some point. We've got linebackers that we brought in. Supposedly there's an injury issue with one of them. Who knows? Our secondary's awful. Everybody's screaming about how we need corners and we need safeties. We've got all this stuff that we need to fill these positions for the future and to build this team. We're already a young team as it is. We can get even younger and really build something especially now that we got Kirk Cousins. At this point, I wouldn't even worry about the quarterback situation right now because you've got a Kirk Cousins.
Thank you. That's all I want. That's all I ask that you do.
That's the big stick.
Don't knock on it. Don't knock on Fernando Mendoza. Just say, I don't care if it's Joe Smith that we're drafting at quarterback. We don't need to take a quarterback. We need to trade back and get more picks.
If we didn't have Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't be saying this right now because that's the only option we have is to get Mendoza to have any shot at a quarterback outside of AOC 12 because that's all we have on the roster. So we have to look at you have to be honest with yourself. That's who's there. AOC 12. Then we brought Kirk Cousins in. So now we have 2 quarterbacks. We draft Mendoza. Now we got 3. And we've got a decision on what we're doing with them. All right. But if Kirk Cousins here, I don't see the push why we need to take a quarterback even less now, to be honest with you, because we've got him. And I know people are saying he sucks and everything. Don't forget, he's back with Kubiak. He's back in that system. Things could be different. Who knows? This isn't Geno Smith coming in here that's been, pretty much a half-ass quarterback outside of that 1, maybe 2 years in Seattle, and then he came here and was just dog shit. Okay, so that's the other reason why I'm pushing back even more on trading out of that number 1 because we can do so much more with it. We can move around the first round. We don't even have to stick with what we trade for.
Yeah,
we could end up with 2 picks in the first round and maybe 2 in the second round if we move around the right way.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much that can be done. But, see, 805.
Well,
I knew if he was still listening, I knew he was going to
and
chime
that's
in.
fine. That's fine. But you got to take into consideration what we need, what the kid is capable of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I myself know he's capable of doing way more than what he did at Indiana.
Okay, so if you're sitting here saying what he's capable of, well, isn't Kirk Cousins the same situation? He's capable of that too.
Yeah, but you're talking about a 38-year-old quarterback versus a 22-year-old
capable
quarterback.
of doing it too.
Or you're gonna put the next 3 years of our franchise on the back of a 38-year-old quarterback.
I'm not saying that, but for this season, is he capable of doing the same thing though too?
we're
Everybody
talking about
thinks
the.
Mendoza can come in and do it. Is he
This is-
capable also?
This is a pick for the future of our franchise.
Okay. So this is a pick for the future of the franchise as opposed to picks for the future of our franchise.
Yeah,
That's
and then
what-
you piss down your leg and you pick two people that ain't worth a shit. So what does it matter?
And we pick one pick and he turns out to be a bust too. Now what? Oh, we'll try again next year.
So
That's awesome.
you and me both agree. You and me both agree that the draft is a crapshoot.
Of course it is.
All right.
Of course it is. But my odds are better if I've got 2 or 3 early picks than just going with one.
I don't know.
I got a chance to hit on 2 out of those 3 versus I only got 1 shot to hit on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I do miss the 14th pick. I miss it like a dog that passed away years ago. That's how much I miss number 14. Shout out to Tana Jack with the $5 super chat. Jeff, get a coffee well, I don't drink, so I'll take the coffee.
Yeah.
I love you guys too. And you know what? I don't come on here to ruffle feathers. It's just like, if you watch any of the intros with the songs, like the Thursday night show and the Wednesday night show, it always says that, I hit you when you need the truth. Cause I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm sorry. It's the way I feel. I have a different way about it than what like 805. 805 does it a little bit more tactfully. I just come out and say it the way I want to say it.
Mhm.
And I'm creating a little stir tonight, and I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm the bad guy. Thank you, Tana Jack. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much, man. Let's see. 805 says, I'm listening and breaking down Mendoza game film for the 20th time. Getting ready to show example. Set another behind the scenes look to both of you. Ooh. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, I still got this thing up on my screen. Yeah. So somebody asked, when has Kirk Cousins been elite? What do you consider elite? That's what I want to know. I mean, he's got an overall career winning record, 88 and 77. So he's not a loser. Let's see, the worst season he had as a starter. As a full season starter, his worst season was 2020. He went 7-9, 16 starts, threw for 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 4,200 yards, 516 attempts, 349 completions. That was his worst year as a starter. 2017, same number, 7-9, 540 attempts, 347 completions, 4,000 yards, 27 TDs, and 13 interceptions. He still has a better TD to interception ratio. I just want to make sure I'm right here. Only 1 year he threw more interceptions than touchdowns, and that was his second year in the season, but he only played in 3 games.
Yeah.
That was in Washington. Let's see. I don't know what someone considers elite. I mean, he threw for 4,900 yards, 25 TDs, 12 interceptions in 2016 for Washington, 8-7-1, 606 attempts. In 2022 for Minnesota, 13-4 season, 643 attempts, 424 completions, 4,500 yards, 29 TDs, 14 interceptions. So pretty damn good numbers. 2023 in Minnesota, he only played in 8 games. He was 4-4, 500. 2024 in Atlanta, he was 7-7, started and played in 14 games, threw for 3,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. That was the year that he threw for the most interceptions his entire career, was 16. Prior to that, 14 was his next highest. 2 years at 13, 1 at 12, 1 at 11, 1 at 10, and the rest were 5, 5, 7, 6, 3. So, I don't know. I don't know what people consider elite now because it changes from day to day. What someone considers to be elite, and what someone doesn't consider to be elite. No bad guys. All opinions are valid. Thank you. Mendoza is a winner in college. We've seen that. NFL is different. These players ain't easy to get away from pressure, sacks. They will be honest. Yeah, and that's the other thing. You don't even know how he's going to handle being in an NFL game. You know, these guys are bigger. They're faster. The game speed is a lot faster itself. You know, so it's not like he's just walking. No, what the hell was that? It's not like he's walking into a high school team here. He's walking into the NFL, man, especially in our division. He's going to play the top defense from last year twice. Khalil Mack is going to be playing against him twice. He's got, what's his name from Kansas City twice. You know, we just went through this yesterday looking at the home and away games for us, you know, for this year. It's not an easy schedule. Not at all. You know, so home, we've got obviously the 3 in our division. We got Buffalo, Miami, the Rams, Seattle, and Tennessee. So the easiest games out of all those at home was probably Miami and Tennessee. No disrespect, Marcus, if you're in here listening. No, but the other ones all have decent defenses. I mean, Seattle just won the Super Bowl, and we got to play them. Then on the road, we got obviously the 3 in our division. We got the Cardinals. We got the Browns again. Myles Garrett, hello. Welcome to rookie. What if that's the first game of the season that this kid starts? Now he's got Myles Garrett playing opposite of him. All right.
Well, hopefully we got Colton Miller, not.
Well, yeah, and that's just said.
What's his name? Forsyth blocking him.
So you got him. Patriots. Patriots are hit or miss with their defense. The Saints, I don't even know what they've got for defense anymore. The Jets are the Jets. And then the 49ers. So you still got a decent defense in San Fran, too. You know, so these aren't easy games next season.
The NFL's not easy to begin with. Every team has got a pocket of some success in it.
And how many playoff games has he won? How many playoff games has Kirk Cousins won? Let's say
he's 1-4.
It's actually 1-3.
Or is it 1-3?
Mm-hmm.
Who was his offensive coordinator when he won that game?
Oh, I don't know. No clue.
Kubiak.
What, he won that game? That was 2019.
Yeah.
Was that Kubiak there?
I believe Kubiak was, I think, his quarterback's coach or offensive coordinator. I can't remember.
Let me see.
I think it was quarterback coach because I think it was in 2020. I think he went to the Niners and then went. You have to look at the profile. I don't have the profile in front of me.
Head coach was Mike Zimmer. Kevin Stefanski was the OC. I'm looking to see if I can. It's not telling. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Let's see. Assistant head coach, offensive advisor was Gary Kubiak.
Okay, Gary
Kubiak was the quarterback's coach.
Okay. So all that same nucleus of people, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was still under their tutelage.
Yeah.
Oh, Bud Grant was still a consultant back then? Jesus. I didn't think he was still involved with the team at all at that point.
Yeah.
So who was there in 2022? Wasn't Kubiak there in 2022? Of course, this season it's not giving me the coaches for this one. Head coach O'Connell. Offensive coordinator was Wes Phillips. Doesn't tell me the rest of the organization, like the rest of the coaches for it. Oh, Wes Phillips is Wade Phillips' kid? Huh. Didn't know that. Yeah, it doesn't give me the information who what other coaches were there. But he made the playoffs twice with Washington, 2012 and 2015, and then 3 times with Minnesota.
Yeah. So I don't think we're getting any more phone calls. People are too afraid to call in.
They're afraid I'm going to yell at them. I'm not going to yell at them. And the issue that we had Money Chuck with Money Chuck Thursday night, he still called in, and I was totally still. I wasn't a dick. I was laughing right along with them.
No.
What was that at? Was that the
your votes are not very confident. Everybody else is either confident or
I love how you left this one up for like a half hour, 45 minutes. The other poll you left up for 5 minutes. And
well, it hasn't been on the screen, so not everybody's seen it either. So the other one was on, but we'll stop it.
It's rigged. 805 didn't vote.
Rigged? You voted twice. You're the only 2 votes for not very confident.
Mm-mm. There was some ghost votes you didn't know about. I sent my mail-in ballots too.
Yeah.
So you got to tally those up.
Yeah.
Did I show? I didn't show my ID though. I guess that's okay now. So.
In all fairness to everybody in the chat and Raider Nation Voices, Jeff was already at Team Trade Back in November of last year. So
yeah, prior to Mendoza even being
right, exactly. But my only thing is don't knock him. Okay, don't knock him because of what other people say. Have your own. You see what I'm saying? It's like see it for yourself and then be the judge of it. Be the judge of what you see and don't see.
Well, Ardell, we're not talking about. We're just talking about Myles Garrett being there. Yeah, I get that. They haven't won shit with the guy, and that's why I'm shocked he stayed there. But again, money talks. But I'm just talking about the caliber of players he's going to be playing against on the defensive side when we put him in. Because what if he comes in late in the season and we play the Browns late and Myles on one of those tears again, like he always is? I mean, Jesus Christ. The only time you're not going to see him on a tear is if he's out injured. And I pray to God he doesn't get injured because I love watching the guy play. He's just a phenom out there. What if Browns trade Garrett before the season? Just better hope they don't trade him to a team we're going to play against, or at least not in our division. That's even worse. If they trade him to the Chargers, the Chiefs, or the Broncos, we're just fuck that.
I can see the Cowboys trying to pull off a trade for Myles Garrett. I can see them doing that.
Yeah. Maybe they'll take Shador too and send them back Prescott.
Can I say something about Shador? And I'm gonna be 100% honest. I truly think if that kid just checked it and went in with both feet and got coached right, he could actually be a pretty damn good quarterback in the NFL. He's got some bad habits. A lot of his habits are from his 7-on-7 type, that could be coached out. But when you watch him after on the sidelines and whatnot, when you basically blow off your quarterback coaches who just sat down next to you with the iPad to go over things, and you grab the talent, walk away from him, and totally ignore him, that's a problem.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's dude. Yeah. Look, I get it. Your dad has coached you from Pee Wee all the way through college, but you know what? There's a point in time where you got to do it. You got to do it yourself, and be humble about and appreciative. Don't you threw 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and got picked to go to the Pro Bowl as an alternate.
Yeah. Only because 4 of the quarterbacks ahead of him either were injured or in the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's why the Pro Bowl doesn't hold shit to me anymore.
No, that should have never happened. I would have selected. I would have went like, you know what? I think we'll just pick so and so to be the quarterback, and he ain't even a quarterback. I mean, hell, pick Jacoby Myers. We know he could throw the ball to be an alternate quarterback in the Pro Bowl.
Well, he's a perfect example of what we talked about earlier with leadership. He's your quarterback. He's your starter. He's supposed to be that leader on the field. Would you look at him as a leader on that team?
Absolutely not.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. There's no way. He doesn't do it in his actions when he plays. His on field in game ability, doesn't do it in his actions off the field on the sidelines, doesn't do it vocally as a leader. If anything, he's the complete opposite of all of that.
Absolutely he's got no self. He doesn't self-diagnose very well.
If anybody that wanted him early and were pissed that nobody took him, and then you wonder why he fell to number 5, he's showing you examples of why he didn't deserve to go early in the draft.
Yeah,
he's a problem. Yeah, he's got talent. He's an athletic kid. I'm giving him that. I'm not taking that away from him. The kid can play.
He's got an incredible arm. Can make great. He's got a great delivery. Can get the ball down the field.
That detracts from what he can do on the field when he's that issue on the sideline. The fact that it's a total disrespect to your coach.
Yeah.
Dude,
and then there was an interview here recently. I think it was right around the Super Bowl. He had an interview with somebody where he said, "I put the NFL on notice." Okay, you had a good game against the Raiders. Right on. Right on. So did everybody. So did everybody else. we made Pro Bowlers and Hall of Fames out of everybody last year. So you slap yourself on the back for that.
Give everybody a gold jacket that played against us last year. They look like Hall of Famers 100%. Yeah. So GFAM asked, who is one player the Raiders must draft, even if they have to draft higher than projected?
I don't know. I don't know if I would go up from 30, trade a bunch to get up to into the. Well, I don't think it would cost that much to get up to like 27, 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there.
36?
Yeah, from 36.
I think if you throw in the second rounder and
next year's draft.
Well, no. Yeah. Or it'd have to be the second round of this year.
Well, you'd be your second round. So they're first swapping.
We did cover this the other day. Somebody asked this actually.
Uh-huh.
The only way I would move back into the first round, and that means we're using our second round of this year and our third, is if we've already got something in the works to use a couple of our fourths to move back into the third round. Because to move back into the first round and then not have another pick until the fourth round, that's too much meat and potatoes get taken off the table for us to feed on in the draft.
Yeah.
Between those two picks. There's too many good players in there that are going to have an impact on this team that we will lose out on. Because by the time we pick in the fourth round, we're starting to look at half empty bowl of green beans, and the potatoes have like half a scoop left, and now we're like, shit, man, we lost on this guy. It's too much. You'd have to have a plan in place. You can't just like, hey, we'll move back into the first round. We'll give our second or third, and we'll move into, say, the 25th or 24th pick. It's great. That'd be awesome to do, but we better have another plan to move back into the third round.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get a pick in the second round, all right. But we got two rookies on 5-year contracts or 5th-year options. That's the big thing.
Which that only affect you down the road.
Velvet, were you and Mike going to the draft this year? I forgot to ask you this before. If you're still in the chat, let me know if you guys are going, because Dawn and I are going. See, Raider Nation Jason says we have a real center now too, Jeff. We ain't going to be the same old Raiders. Yeah, I get that, but jury's still out on the offensive line, and I'll argue that until I see better on the field.
I would instead of arguing it.
Well,
I would just pause. Just pause.
Yeah,
just pause. Don't get too high. Don't get too low, because it's not just the Linderbaum. It's also bringing Rick Dennison in. That's the key is bringing in Rick Dennison. And if Rick Dennison goes, I can make DJ Glaze a right tackle, at that point I'm like, all right, I want to see this. I want to this is a true test to see what he can do with DJ Glaze. If that's what the conversation is in the building. See, we're not privy to that conversation, right? As they're talking about it. But if that's the conversation, because they've already come, I think it was Kubiak at the owners meeting that was, he's satisfied with what he has at the tackle position right now. Right now. Doesn't mean they can't add to it later on down the road. And that's why I said way back earlier, and we'll know going into free agency, or into training camp, if they're satisfied. Because if they're not, then they're probably going to try and make some moves as well outside the draft to try and shore up that right side too, as well.
805. I'm looking at the picture you sent. What are those two little things on the side of the top monitor there? Are those speakers or are those cameras too? Like, how many cameras you got set up here? Look at this guy. He's got the laptop, 3 monitors stacked. He's got 2 cell phones in front of him. Then he's got a little soundboard thing down below here. Jesus Christ. He's got 2 ring lights. He's got a big ass TV on the wall behind it too.
He looks like a 911 dispatcher.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a nice setup, though. I need to do something like that.
If I did something like this, my wife would go ballistic on me.
It's a great setup, though.
It's cool. I like that laptop though, and the stand.
Yeah.
And then basically he's just projecting that laptop onto the.
See,
monitor.
Anthony Richardson did have talent, but he just didn't have enough game under his belt. That was his big thing. And I remember fans wanting the Raiders to get him. I am so glad we did.
I did not want him at all.
Checkmate. I'm fine with either one of those 2 guys, man. 100%. One of those 2 guys fall to us at number 36. I'm all for it. All for it. Cameras for work meetings. Okay. So what they get both sides of your face, so they don't know which camera to look at. I got 1 camera and it's on my laptop right there. Oh shit.
Well, I've got 2. I've got one on the iMac that comes with the iMac, and then I added a separate camera to the top. Now when I get my
I do have a second camera, but it's all sitting over there.
Nah. I only have the second camera just in case I break the first one.
John Brady says, if we do trade back at 16, I'm going with Leon, the guy from Penn State. He's a big Samoan. We know Samoan, the Warriors, in real life. If it's white guy, Mexican, black guy.
But if I get a new iMac this year to replace this one that I'm working on right now, like the one that my wife has, oh my God. That camera you saw it the other day when I was in the studio with you. It's a big difference. And I had no lighting, nothing, just natural lighting. And it was like, that 4K camera is ridiculous.
So I'm going to close the phone lines because nobody's called us since 10:30. Nobody wants to call tonight. Whatever. Phone lines closed. That's it. We're going to be closing up shop here, basically.
And for those of you that are just dying to talk to me directly, just wait. We'll have that fixed in no time.
I got to work on that. I got to do some serious work.
The week that you're going to be at the draft, I will use my number, not my personal number, but the same style. But so when you call in, it'll be me, and we'll have an alternate co-host with me that night. In fact, need to reach out to him and see if he's game that night. So
let's just want to lock back in here with everything that we've kind of covered so far. We discussed leadership. The leadership sets the tone in this league. If this team, especially with all this new blood coming in here, that this sets a whole new tone. The offensive line protects the identity too. So what's the true identity of this team? it needs to be an offensive identity because I think the defense is pretty well getting set in stone, basically. So the offensive line needs to protect that identity. They need to protect whether it's Kirk Cousins or it's Mendoza back there. In the pick number 36 decides if this team is serious or not. Do we go for a flashy skill player or do we go for a guy that can solidify that front defensive front, at nose tackle? Or do we go for an offensive lineman and protect that identity? So that there's options on what we need to do here.
I myself want to stay at 36 though. And the reason being is the last 5 years, the 36 pick has been a gem. A gem. It's benefited you go back to the last 5 drafts, 34, 35, 36, 37 pick. Those guys turn out to be absolute studs because they're actually going to be round 1 grades, but slide to the 36 pick. And then it's going to be like, oh, we got one. You know what I mean?
So before we get out of here, final thoughts, anything you want to throw out there? You got
no. Another week coming up. So far this next week Tuesday we'll have Raiders Show Me Your Shield, 5:00. And then Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will have Pride and Poise. This last Friday was a great show. Had a lot of fun with it. If you guys haven't seen it, I know it's at 11 a.m. If you're at work and you want to check out for lunch, get you a sandwich and pop on in, I'd appreciate it. That channel, that show is growing. It's popping. And I enjoy doing it. It's a solo shit, my solo artiste, I guess you can say. I'm still putting together a lot of things for our show here because and I know when the season comes, you guys better be ready because this Saturday nights is going to be where it's at and it's going to be right here. So our goal is to make Mitchell Rentz cry.
Oh, that's easy. I just go on his channel and make fun of him where they have to boot me. He gets all upset. That's easy. You don't want none of my smoke. I'll tell you that right now. So
I like 805s. I like 805s. You covered the passion. Jason has for trading back, getting her one. Great segment.
Yeah, I mean, the plans for when the season starts is this is going to be the last show that you guys are going to be able to watch and partake prior to the Sunday game. So the last chance to talk the preview for the game that's going to be happening on the next day. And again, we're still going to be doing the phone calls too. So if you want to call in at that point, once the season, once we get closer, and when it gets to that time, we'll be taking your calls and come in and talk your shit about what you think about the team we're playing against that weekend.
Yeah.
What are the chances? There's going to be so much more fun once the season kicks in, and we're going to start it because we'll do a test with it during the preseason. We'll do the Saturday night before, and we'll talk about that preseason game. So we're going to have some fun with it this season, and it's the same effect that it's going to have for me on my Friday night show, where once the season kicks in, that Friday night show is going to be partly, reviewing the games that just happened the week prior and the games coming up that weekend. So it's going to be a heavy NFL show. The only Raider talk really that's going to be on that is who we're playing, who we played the week before, and then we just move on. The Raider talk is for tonight. Tonight's the big Raider night, with Jason and I on the weekends with the live phone calls. So I appreciate everybody being in here tonight. I know Aunt Six just popped in. I saw you. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, Aunt Six?
Cool Kev just popped in. What's up, Cool Kev?
What's up, Cool Kev?
John Raider says, great show, guys. Can't wait for the draft. Going to be a good one. Shocking trades or not. Exactly. G-Fam's crying and laughing. I don't know why. So J.E. says, are you guys sold on Mendoza? No. I'm not. Jason is. I'm on team trade back. Trust me. I want to trade out of that number one. and gain a boatload of picks and really build this team for the future. That's my take. And I think it's even more possible now because Kirk Cousins is in the house. If Kirk Cousins wasn't here, then I'd be like, Now, bite the bullet, start him all season, and we'd roll into next year with what we roll into. I'm all for trading back 100%.
I have a feeling Kirk Cousins is going to win us enough games that we ain't going to be in the top 10 picking next year.
And that's why it's even bigger to trade out of that spot so you can hopefully get a first rounder next year. So now you've even got more leverage for next year.
What are you talking about?
Well,
I just said it. If we're picking with the 10th pick, we could have 50 draft picks. We ain't going up. Unless we get the Jets. If we can get the Jets or the Cardinals, because they're going to be sucking and picking in the top 5 next year. They're already doing that. They're already setting themselves up to do that. You know what I mean? Hey, how can we tank and not make it look obvious? Oh, let's go get Geno Smith. He's our future. Yeah, he's going to build your future for you. All right. He's built our future.
So Rose Town says he's generational. You heard it here. I said it first. I should play that video again for him.
That video.
There were guys that everybody.
I've seen those, and I've seen those videos, and it's just like
you're a non-believer.
No, it just. I mean,
but does it prove the point though? Does it prove the point that he's not better than everybody?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. No, it doesn't prove a point.
Of course it does. Everybody's saying he's better than so-and-so when he came out of college. It's all debunked right there in that video. It's showing you it's giving you the stats. So you can't sit here and say that he's better than Joe Burrow coming out of college. Joe Burrow had better stats than him. And that's what everybody says. He's better than so-and-so when he came out of college. No, he's not. It proves it right there. No problem, Levi. I'm going to be sharing that on Instagram tonight.
You can't cherry pick stats.
What are we cherry picking? We're cherry picking his actual numbers, his touchdowns, his yardage. How's that cherry picking? You can't change those numbers. If you watch that video, nowhere in there does it talk about how many games he won that season or how many championships this guy won or who won the Heisman. They're talking about statistical stats, throwing the ball, playing in a game. That's what they're talking about. Because people are saying he's better than so-and-so when he came out of college. No, he's not. When you compare his stats this past season, he's equal to David Carr, Baker Mayfield. What was the other one? There was another one in there that you go, ooh, really? Trevor Lawrence is better than him coming out of college. Okay. Jared Goff is better than him coming out of college.
What stats? What stats are they using?
Oh my God! You watched the video. Did you not watch it? Did you close your eyes when I played it?
Did he show you how many pass attempts versus completions?
That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about how many touchdowns.
Okay, so if Fernando Mendoza threw the ball 450 times instead of 370 times, how much? That's 80 more passes, right? That's 80 more passes. Okay. So out of those 80 more passes at 72%, you're looking at about 63 completions. Okay. And you can add another 700 to 800 yards to his total of 35. So he's going to have 4,300 yards. Oh, and by the way, you probably took about 5 or 6 more touchdowns in there as well.
So now we're moving the goalposts, like everybody accuses me of doing.
Set the goalpost before you start calling the shots.
Okay. So then let's do this.
You can't.
What was his average position of possession on the field?
He was still higher in yards per attempt at 9.8.
Okay. But what was his average yard position when he would take over the ball?
Okay. So he had a short field to play with.
Yeah. Which means, of course he's throwing less passes because the defense was that fucking lights out that they got the ball in good field position.
So what that tells me is if my defense gets me a fucking fumble on the 22-yard line, I know my quarterback's going to go out there and
Having a
score a
heart
fucking
attack right
touchdown
now.
and
So
not.
bad on the screen.
We'll just throw 3 passes and kick a field goal. We'll be good. Right?
Dude, you're
Let me
stuttering and skipping.
Let me throw another stat out there that not many people are talking about. 34-0.
We can't hear what you're saying. You're skipping so bad and
34 to
Your
not,
connection was
34 to 0.
which is
34
what number
that's
is what
34 red zone touchdowns to 0 interceptions at 2 schools with 3 different offensive coordinators.
okay.
That's pretty damn good.
All right.
That's pretty damn. So what's it tell you? That he's pretty deadly in the red zone, right?
Oh yeah. So make him number 1 draft pick. Just for that.
Man. Do you want a
Who
guy?
are
Do
these-
you want
who are
a
these-
quarterback?
yeah.
You want a quarterback that will score your touchdowns in the red zone or piss down his leg?
Who was he playing against? What type of talent? What who was he? Who were the teams against Cal? Who was he playing against?
Miami, USC.
Okay.
Okay, go watch the Cal Miami game. Yeah, they
I
lost
don't
by 1 point. They lost by 1 point. Go
Why
watch it.
would I want him? I don't need to. He's going to be picked number 1 anyway. So why am I going to waste my time at this point?
Oh, you watch him break. You watch him snap Reuben Baines on ankles on a rollout. Juked his ass out up the field for 15 yards.
All right. I don't want Reuben Bain anyway, so that's okay.
Okay, so well, number 1, he's still top 10 pick in the draft, right?
But TG. Who's still number 1 in the draft?
He's still going to be a top 10 pick in the draft.
Yeah, but not by us because we only
Okay.
got 1 pick, and we got to take the quarterback because that's what we need.
So in essence, all the other guys that I named earlier, are a bunch of fucking losers, and I want the winner. I don't care if he throws 1 touchdown or 15 touchdowns, he's a winner. That's cheesy saying it that way, but I just wanted to say it that way to piss you off.
Well, to be honest with you, your whole tirade that you went on, none of us could hear you because your connection was so bad at that point, and you were so loud.
What I was saying was the 34-0. The 34
It actually
to 0.
looked like you were having a heart attack because you put
No,
your hand up like this and you
No,
were
I got these. I'm trying to keep these from flopping in my mouth and shit. Yeah. That's funny though. Is it like,
you know, like
he's
bouncing
he's
around your
going corner over Mendoza. A fucking first guy on the internet to croak while talking about Mendoza.
Of course, I'm going to root for him. Why? I'm not going to be like a certain content creator out there that wants us to lose. Of course, I'm going to want him to win. I want the Raiders to win no matter who's in there at starting quarterback.
In all fairness to Jeff, he didn't want Ginty last year either. I didn't want Ginty
No.
at number 6. I didn't. I thought we were, I thought last year position of need was greater than the best player available. Right. So I thought Membo would have been a great pick at 6.
and it's funny because I say that, and then there's a certain person that pushes back in the chat all the time that says, well, how good was he with the Jets? First of all, you're talking about the Jets, okay? So it's
He
the
actually
Jets.
played pretty good.
Correct. But his thing is always, well, what good did he do the Jets? Okay, well, he still played decent. He still had a good year. He's
Mhm.
just on a shit bum team.
Mhm.
If he came to us, would he have been the same? Probably not, based on how our coaching was. But guess what? We'd still have him on the roster right now, and he'd be even better this year, hopefully, with a better coaching system,
Mhm.
especially a kid of his size and his talent.
Mhm.
It would have been a better option than taking Genty, who just got obliterated last year for the most part and wasn't able to do what he fully could have done.
Nah, that was
So
embarrassing.
how well
What
did that
happened
work
with
out
that.
for us?
We owe that kid an extra year of money just for the sake of we're sorry for last year.
Seriously, tell me about it. When you drafted him, what was the first thing you thought of? Like, well, there's a good chance we're going to have a rookie of the year on our team.
No, I was.
Oh, I did.
I was trying to look at it from both sides of the fence. I was trying to look at it from both sides of the fence when we drafted him. And to be quite honest with you, I was really confused internally by the pick. I really was. And I was like, okay, on one hand, you go, okay, He's good, really good running back. Hopefully, it translates to the NFL where he did at Boise State. Now, mind you, that was Boise State. It's not like he did that at Ohio State or Alabama or in the SEC or the Big Ten of anything. He did it at Boise State. Okay, he's not a real big profile, and he's like 5'8", so it doesn't he doesn't wow you with his physicality. He doesn't have that elite breakaway speed. We knew that. It just we were going based off of what he did at the college level, right? The stats. Basically, we drafted him because of his stats.
That's what I said too. I don't know if you heard me. I said to me, "You don't like things bouncing around your face."
Yeah.
Who is this guy rated Jeff spitting nonsense? That's
Fine.
Jason. Rate his first
Dude.
downs. That's my right hand
Dude,
man.
we were in a chat the other day, and he was throwing fire like he knew something, and it's like, all right.
But you know what? And I want to say this too. Now that you look at the big picture from last year, the 805. See if you back me up on this. I don't think it would have mattered who we drafted last year.
Mm-mm.
If it would have been T-Mac, he would have had a bad year too. Okay, based on our offensive play. If it would have been Membu, he probably would have had a bad year based on our offensive line coaching. Genty, we already know, didn't have the year that he should have because of our offensive line play and our coaching. Okay, so I don't think it would have made a difference on that offense, especially who we would have brought in would not have probably made an impact and would not have had as good of a season as they did on the respective teams they were drafted by. T-Mac would not be the rookie of the year if he was on our team. Genty would have had a shot if we had the offensive line a little bit more stabilized. And I did think he would probably be the one that would win the rookie of the year. But then I started watching what T-Mac was doing. I'm like, well, I don't think he's going to get it now. But if Genty would have
Membo would even play.
Barrier, if he would have finished with about 1,200 yards, along with what he did on the receiving side, I think he would have probably won the rookie of the year. He fell short of 1,000 by just a few yards, So the fact that he was that close to 1,000, as bad as we were, and how many times he was taken out of the game, and once he hit like 8 carries, and they just decided to sit him because they were saving him. Get the fuck out of here!
All right, so TG, he was 34-0 in the red zone. Touchdown to interception ratio in the red zone. He had 6 interceptions last year at Indiana, 6 interceptions the year before at Cal, and I believe it was 10 or 11 his first year as a starting quarterback. So there's growth. What you see is growth. You bring that down from 11 down to 6, down to 6, right? There's growth. And what did he do in the playoffs last year?
I see growth when I get excited. Nobody talks about
I believe at one point, I believe going into the championship game, he had more touchdowns than he had incompletions. Now, Napoleon Kaufman his fourth year was freaking crazy, man. It was, if he could get the fourth gear and at the second level, goodbye. Just I think after 5-6 years with Kaufman, he started to his desire to continue to play dwindled.
He went on to be wasn't he the team chaplain now or something?
Yeah.
Right?
He went into ministry.
And I agree, Jason. But we do have Hayward there now too, so we do have a fullback, which we haven't had in a while. He's a hybrid. He's a tight end fullback.
Mm-hmm.
I get you, but Raiders have so many more needs than QB. Get a team that can make the playoffs before drafting a QB. No, I'm not pushing the playoffs, but I still agree with.
I tell you what, if we skip on the quarterback and go to the playoffs, you might as well kiss the quarterback goodbye the next year because we ain't gonna have a shot. The way this CBA is designed now, And if you're 1, 2, 3, and 4, teams picking 1, 2, 3, and 4 are usually picking there because they don't have a quarterback. So the at least 2 are going to be cream of the crop. They're gone. Those guys ain't even going to trade. They're not. They're going to like, we'll give you a 15 first round pick. Nah, we want the guy. Sorry.
And this is what I was saying before the draft too. Daniel Jeremiah put out a story about teams that aren't ready to draft running backs of certain caliber. Like Saquon never should have been drafted by the Giants because they weren't ready for him. The Eagles, what they went and did was they built up their offensive line. They brought in, they had other running backs there, but what happened once that offensive line was perfect? They bring in Saquon, and what happens? He rushes for 2,000 yards, and they go to a Super Bowl, and they win it.
Man.
You know, so and he's right. T. Mac and Banks probably would have struggled, but there's a lot of reasons why you don't draft a running back early in the first round, especially when your O line is bad. O line improves the run game, not the running back.
And I'm gonna hang with my buddy 805 on this one as well and keep on going while he's on that track. Is we didn't predict in the future that we're going to have a Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison wide zone, right? Those guys traditionally could take a running back and make him great. Not the running back, not the best running back in the draft, but take a running back and make him great. They got Kenneth Walker a paycheck. That's for sure.
They did.
So that in and of itself, I mean, who knows? Zamir White could probably be a dynamite in the wide zone. You never know. I know I just made you throw up in your mouth, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I say this is because the concepts that they use in that wide zone and the way it's taught and the way they emphasize it, it's just so damn effective. Come on, guys. You saw it when Mike Shanahan and Rick Dennison and all those guys were beating everybody's ass with that. I mean, come on. They're taking 6th, 7th round UDFAs and putting them in the backfield and getting 1,000 yards out of them. You know? It's like, who's this guy? Well, he's in the running for MVP.
And we've all said this already, and Jare is bringing it back up again for sure.
I'm not going to argue that. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm not arguing that either.
No. You know, we all agree that 100% we got the number 1 pick in the worst year for a quarterback. Absolutely. And that's just the right away. That's just how it happens, unfortunately. It sucks.
But it would be the same way. It would be the same.
Because this is, if the quarterback situation was different, like if there were more options, we wouldn't have this. It would be the argument of who's better than who. Okay. Now the point is, you know, everybody's so hyped on Mendoza because he's been held to such a high pedestal. I keep saying this too. He's on this pedestal, and he comes in at the number 1 overall pick, and you have him up here because everybody's saying that he's going to take us here, he's going to take us there. And if he doesn't, that's a long fall off that pedestal everybody's putting him on. If he doesn't turn out to be what everybody's expecting, Raider Nation's going to lose their shit. That's the thing too.
I will lose my shit. Because I can tell, I've already said if Mendoza is not successful in this league, it's our fault, not his.
Yeah, but what if he can't handle the pressure? And I know everybody's going to say, "Well, he's already proven he can handle the pressure." I guess Jason's done. Oh. You know, because again, we still don't know what he's going to be like in the NFL. How's he going to handle losing? Remember, don't forget, he's coming to the worst team in the league.
He's already dealt with that at Cal.
That's college. That's a different.
Oh, you got to go from college to the pros.
Yeah, but that's a big jump. You
know what's worse is somebody that's never experienced losing, like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence never lost a game until his senior year in college.
Okay.
From high school through college, all the way to the senior year of his college, he never lost a game.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets into the pros.
You know, and I know what fans of Raider Nation are like.
Yeah.
You know how they're gonna react certain ways, whether they were in love with him to draft him or not. Fans will turn on a player in a heartbeat, and you know they will.
Mm-hmm.
So how does he take that when the fans start coming after him for certain things? because he threw a couple of interceptions
Mhm.
or he fumbled.
Oh, there was
He's
people
good.
during the Gannon. There was people during the Gannon era that said he sucked. Why do we got Gannon? He sucks. And now 20 years later, he was one of the greatest quarterbacks we ever had.
A perfect example. But again, everybody has such a perfect image of him that he can do no wrong. But when he does wrong, people are not going to be like, oh, what the hell's going on? How come he threw? How come that happened? No, he's supposed to be perfect. He's supposed to be the guy. How come he's playing so bad? What's going on? What are the coaches doing to him? Is it the coaches?
That's what I
Is it his
said.
Ability to adjust
Don't-
to the pro level. There's so much at stake here, and this is what I'm talking about. This is why that number 1 overall pick, is so goddamn valuable. It's more valuable than the guy we're gonna take at number 1. That's not even the true number 1 player,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what just doesn't make sense. A guy that may not be on the field this year. So how's that for value? Okay, when you could get 2 first rounders that are both going to probably have an immediate impact on this. But we could be here all night beating this up. So
We've been beating this up since January. What are you talking about?
I know. And we're going to continue for the next 2 weeks. And then once the season starts, because again, if he starts screwing up, people
Oh,
are gonna be-
you anti-Mendozers are going to be way worse when the season starts.
Yep.
It's going to be way worse.
right? You know, people are going to lose their mind. If he comes out and he's absolutely god-awful, if he's as bad as Jamarcus Russell, oh, good God.
Okay,
Step back and let
hold
them
on.
go.
I'm tired of the
Oh,
comparison to Jamarcus Russell. I'm already tired of that shit because that ain't even that's
Like five
that's not even
20 regimes ago.
that was a totally different human being in and of itself.
And yeah, G-fan people, what do you mean nobody put Mendoza on a pedestal? Come on. Come on, man. The Mendoza mania is insane. Are you shitting me? Nobody put him on a pedestal. Come on.
Am I putting him on a pedestal?
We haven't even drafted the guy yet. People already have his rated jerseys. People are selling T-shirts. I mean, I'm not knocking people for selling T-shirts. Make you money, of course you do. But they're already selling Mendoza jerseys. And come on, he's not. Did you ever go? When did you go and buy a Gentry jersey? There wasn't this much hype on him, and he's generational. But now this, because we haven't had a quarterback so long, so we're gonna settle. That's what it is. We're gonna settle on taking him because we need a quarterback so bad. He's the top quarterback in this entire draft. Make that make sense. I don't get it. I just don't. I just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't
I
wait
hope-
till next year's draft.
Next year's? Why?
Because
We're 2 weeks away from this year's draft, and you're already waiting for next year's? Why?
I'm just curious.
Where is next year's draft? Where are they having that? Do you know?
Washington D.C. I think.
Ooh, I may go to that one too.
I
Sure.
think the next three are on the East Coast.
Uh,
805's yelling at me. He's banging my balls.
Wait a minute. What's up, Ray Knight? Wait, hold on. Ray Knight says if all of next year's QBs came out this year, Mendoza is still going number one. I disagree.
I don't.
I
Name
disagree
one
because-
quarterback that was better than him.
Who?
Name one.
If you'd let me finish my statement first, I said I disagree because we don't even know who's coming out. We don't even know how they play for next season. So again, you're basing some of those guys probably didn't have a good year this year. So that statement I think is just possibly a bad one, maybe, or just maybe not worded right. I don't know.
Well, I asked the question last show. Which quarterback could have came out this year?
I'm sending you 7 Mendoza jerseys, one for every day this week. 5X.
Mhm.
Then I'm going to give them away. Go ahead. What was he yelling at you about?
I think he's referring to me saying that if Mendoza doesn't succeed, it's on the franchise, not Mendoza himself. I believe that's the take. I'm going to stand by that take. And the reason why I say it, there's multiple reasons why. Number one, you're absolutely positively correct in a certain roundabout way that if there is deficiencies known in his game that you know you cannot correct and are going to be a hindrance to him coming into the NFL, then absolutely you shouldn't take him. Don't take him.
Then why are we taking him?
Because I feel myself that those aren't a hindrance to his game. There are certain aspects of his game that translate to the NFL very well that can make him a very good quarterback in this league. There are some, and 805 is going to show you on the film. You know, number one, he doesn't do true progressive. He doesn't do a true progressive reads. You know, he doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4 across 45 all the way across the field in his reads. He doesn't do that. The offense really wasn't designed at Indiana to do that. I get it. It doesn't mean he can't. Okay. He hasn't perfected the taking the snap from under center, which is a very must in the Kubiak offense, right? Because Kubiak runs a predominantly heavy under center thing. But I can also tell you this: I could teach an 8-year-old how to take a snap from under quarterback. So it's pretty. I mean, they can do it. I'm not worried about that. I'm really not, because there's many of draft picks that everybody put on a pedestal as well, that when they came out of college, they hardly ever took a snap from under center. Hardly ever. Jane Daniels hardly ever took a snap from under center. Caleb Williams hardly ever took a snap from under center. You know, so that's it's not. I'm not going to blame him for it. That's just what they teach in college and how they do it in college. But at some point, you got to go, there are some things in his game that we could fix at the pro level that will be just fine. He could fix those.
Thanks, Frank. Frank says Jeff's Mendoza jersey has to be number 115. 805 said the question marks are there. The media is just overlooking it, like they do all the time with prospects. That's why they're more wrong than right. Now, my question for you, not for 805, for you and everybody else in the chat here, if 805 goes through it, 805, when are you guys doing this? Are you doing it Wednesday night or Sunday? So when they do this, and if he's able to show you that his inadequacies or his bad tendencies, are you still going to be on that same
I've already
boat?
seen him. And I've identified a bunch of them as well.
Then how can you still justify in taking him as the number one?
Because there's other qualities and other aspects of his game that push him to that.
So other aspects better be damn good to overcome if it's bad. If it's bad.
His accuracy, his ball placement.
You're talking about his pro day playing catch, no defensive backs, no pass rush.
Okay, first of all, you ain't watched a damn game of him at all.
I don't have to.
Okay.
I don't have to. I don't want to watch it.
Well, then don't make that comment.
I'm not talking about how bad he is or anything like that. I'm not talking about his bad tendencies. I'm talking about the value of the number one. That's all I talk about.
Well,
that's how we keep bringing up.
And then he's gonna
okay.
So 805 is gonna show you some deficiencies that are very obvious in the Iowa game and the Penn State game. Absolutely. Okay. But there's two things that happen in both of those games. He stepped it up, made the corrections before the end of the game, made the plays that it took to win the game.
And I'm sure he'll cover that too, because he's not going to be one-sided.
Right. Well, I know he is somewhat bipartisan until he talks to me. I mean, obviously. But if you go like the UCLA game, some of those throws that he made in the UCLA game is like, it just totally, oh my God, he can do those things. There's not a whole lot of it. I get that, but it's still there. And it's not Jamarcus Russell, because the kid's going to come in and work his ass off. and he's going to want to get better. He wants to be better than what he was in Indiana. He went to Indiana because he wanted to be better than what he was at Cal. And he went to Cal because he wanted to be better than what everybody else thought he was. And Cal gave him an opportunity. It was the only decent Division I school that gave him an opportunity to be a quarterback.
So
So-
Jason Marshall says, we just need Mendoza to cash in the red zone. We won't have a problem moving the chains. You really think we're not going to have a problem moving the chains?
You got to run the ball.
As of right now, do you feel confident in running the ball?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Linderbaum, I think we're going to be. I think you're going to see a big difference in the run game.
So you guys are already dreaming, man. I'm telling you. Before the seasons, before they even started practicing, you guys were already,
With Rick Dennison as the coach versus Brennan Carroll, we're going to run the ball better. Is it going to be top
I hope
5,
we do.
top 10?
yeah, but you
Who
guys,
knows? But we were
Okay.
35th in the league in rushing last year.
35th.
Yeah. The St. Louis Battlehawks, the Alabama the Birmingham Stallions, they were better than us in the run game last
What
year.
about the Calgary Stampede?
Yeah, and the Stampede as well.
But again, this is what I'm talking about. Fans are just so delusional sometimes. How can you
I'm not
sit
being
here right
delusional.
now confidently? Again, you have to base everything on what last year's team looked like. Granted, I know we got new coaches and everything, but have you seen anything different right now?
We ain't played a freaking game or had practice.
No, exactly. That's my
But-
point. So you have to
Okay.
base everything on what last
All right.
year was, how those guys played then. Until these coaches
And
get
Mendoza
in-
hasn't taken a snap in the NFL yet.
yeah, he's not even drafted yet. We're 2 weeks away from it.
Okay.
Again, as I was saying, everything that we've seen, the performance of the players that are on this roster right now that were here last year, is what you have to base it on until these coaches start working with them. You have no idea if these guys are going to regress or make progress compared to last year. You have no idea. So to sit here and say,
So I see. I
that
do.
we're
I
going
do-
to have no, okay. If-
okay, now I see where you're coming from.
To
Okay.
sit here and say we're going to have no problem moving the chains or we're going to have a better running game because Linderbaum's here. He's not changing this offense just for one guy. Is not going to change everything. We need other pieces here. That's what I'm trying to get through to people. But to fans, they just don't get it sometimes. There's more that we need to do than just taking that quarterback that's not going to help on the offensive line. That's not going to help at defensive tackle or bring in a cornerback or a safety or a number one wide receiver. That's not going to happen. So you have to base everything on what we did last year and how they all performed last year. Who's on this roster right now? Because we don't know what we're getting in the draft.
So if we
we're
trade,
probably-
so if we trade back and get 2 more picks, that's going to make us that much better.
if it's going to help with the offensive line and possibly the defensive side, whatever. How is drafting a quarterback going to help this team this season?
You just did the same thing I did. If we threw the if in there, the only thing that I'm throwing in it is not an if, is a fact, is that adding Rick Dennison over Brennan Carroll is going to make a big difference. You can't argue that, and nobody else can argue that.
You jump in a time machine and go ahead 7 weeks and saw them play already? How do you know? You don't know. You can't sit here and say that that's already going to be an improvement. You hope it is. You have to hope. You have to pray that it is. You cannot honestly sit here and say it's going to be. You can't. Nobody can unless you have a time machine and you jumped ahead 6 months and saw us at 8-0 by week 8 of the season. You have no idea. So again, I will say this: everything is based on how we performed last year. Until the season starts or until practice, until everything gets rolling and we see the impact of what these coaches are doing with these guys. We don't know. And no, you're not moving. You're still in the same spot.
No, I'm trying to get you to forget last year.
And you can't forget last year.
Oh, I can. That was a train wreck.
Okay. And again, this is how teams get better. You learn from your mistakes. You have to keep that bad season in your mind because you have to remember not to go back to that. You want to move forward based on last year. You don't want to fall back into that same rut. You have to look going forward and you have to hope. You have to You have to be as the best you can this year. And we have no idea what any of these guys are going to look like. We have no clue. So, like I said, to sit there and say, we're going to have no problem doing this, or Genty's going to do this, Genty's going to do that. You cannot sit here and honestly tell me that that's what's going to happen, because we can't see in the future. We have to wait until it happens to sit there and say, it's happening. Look at this. Genty ran 3 games, 110 yards each game. He's better already than last year. The offensive line is better. They're opening holes for him. They're blocking downfield for him. The receivers are blocking for him. Now does everybody kind of see where I'm coming from? So stop putting all this hype on the team and the players, especially a quarterback that's not even going to probably play this year. So how can you sit there and even say that he's going to be this, he's going to be that? You have no fucking clue. Again, no matter who we draft in this draft, we have no clue what type of impact they're going to have in this team, good or bad.
So then why trade back?
I'm winded from that. It didn't take my heart meds yet. So TG said, so many other podcasters have that absolute kooks that know nothing about football, and these two are so legit. I was out of line saying guy with Rated Jeff is spitting nonsense. Stand corrected. See, you changed the mind tonight. I hope I changed some minds tonight. Or
He's anti Mendoza, so it don't matter.
People are going to look at me and go, this kid's fucking stupid. What the hell is this guy talking about? Actually, I'll correct myself. You're right. If Mendoza fails, it's not his fault. Overdrafted him. It's on coaches, GM, and I still blame the media. The damn media.
That's a good point.
Tunes in Wednesday night to the War Room. It's 8:05. Real Talk Raider Nation. Chris from Protect the Pod, Protect the Shield, and the Severe Raider. Make sure you guys watch those 3 guys.
Just pay attention to Severe and Chris. Just pay attention to those 2 guys.
No, you pay attention to all 3.
In all honesty, 805 does a really good job with the game film, and some of it I do agree with, but there's a lot more. I know he put in there it's only 20%, right? But some of those there's more throws than just 20%, and there's some drives that he had in some of those games that you just went wow. And to be quite honest with you, and I kind of agree, I think they took the ball out of his hands a little too much. But then again, Kurt Cignetti will tell you, my job isn't to go out and showcase a quarterback just to make the media and everybody happy. My job is to win games. And if I'm going to win games running the ball, I'm going to win games running the ball. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, they had a very good running game. Absolutely. But that whole team was well-rounded.
805 says, I got plenty more than just those games, but it's about how he looks within the plays that transferred to the NFL, and that's only about 20% of his throws last season, and it's not great.
You're going to see a lot
of cheering on pick he doesn't want.
And you're going to see a lot of like his reads, how when he comes off reads, he comes off way too soon on his reads. But these are things that you probably want to see the number 1 pick not have those, but a lot of guys that got picked number 1 had those issues. Peyton Manning struggled with that with his first year, being able to read multiple coverages at one time. Okay. We put Peyton Manning on a pedestal. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all times, right? But you go back and you look at his first year, he struggled with that. And some of his sacks were his fault because he just could not be decisive.
Away with his feet. He wasn't very athletic when it came to running, that's for sure. If he was running for his life. It wasn't because it was a designed play for him to run. No. He just couldn't run. Let's see. Yeah, we won't even see Mendoza start until next year, probably, unless Kirk gets into true. See, and that's what I try. That's what I'm saying. All we have is hope. Yeah, that's it. That's all we have is hope. Jason, I don't want you to think I was yelling at you, brother. I wasn't like coming after you on that. It's just I've seen it from so many different Raider fans in chats, in threads, and it's the same thing. And it just finally when I saw yours, it just finally it all clicked at one shot, and I'm like, oh. So I'm not upset with you. I don't want you to think that.
Yeah.
Never been a prospect. Get a head start learning and practicing teams. All right. So you already said what you got coming up this, right?
I think I'm going to quit.
Why did I piss you off that bad tonight?
No, it has nothing to do with you.
Why are you going to quit?
Because I 805 hurt my feelings.
Oh, you're one of them types.
Yeah.
Do you need a hug? Do you need to go in a safe space?
I'm soft.
Jason needs to go find a safe corner somewhere. At least have the sacks QB's take around the QB himself, not the O line. Well, unless you look at our O line last year, we were pretty bad. That was horrible. I mean, in all honesty, you look at our entire season with how bad the offensive line is, or was, it still is, until proven otherwise. And then you look at the Patriots last year. You look at their playoff run. You look at their games in their playoff, how bad that left side got. And Drake May got absolutely obliterated in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Broke a record for the most sacks in the playoffs. There was 6 in the Super Bowl alone. And that was the left side that broke down big time.
And they had the number 4 overall. Was it 3 or 4 that they picked that left tackle?
Third or fourth overall pick.
Everybody was jumping. I was like, man, that guy, I don't know, man.
I wanted.
He got beat at LSU a few times, and it was like,
I did not want him, and I'm glad we didn't, because I think they finally saw that. All right, maybe these short arms are an issue, or he just doesn't have the right footwork now. I don't get it. Played great during the season, yeah, against the same type of talent or inferior, and then he goes into the playoffs playing against the best of the best, and the guy got rolled. I mean, he got absolutely obliterated, and then Drake made, bore the brunt of it by getting sacked over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
those sacks were not so much on Drake May. He just had no chance. He had no time back there. So, no, I figured it did, Jason. Elway was lining up under the gods as rookie. Compare Mendoza's college tape. Peyton's as apples to oranges. Manning carried his team through the air. Mendoza was a good piece to one of the most well-rounded teams we've ever seen in college.
I wasn't comparing the college tape. I was comparing his first year in the NFL.
What do you compare?
I was identifying his first year in the NFL, how he struggled that first year with getting the ball out on time, holding the ball a little too long, not trusting his reads, throwing the ball to the other team way too often. I think he had 31 interceptions his rookie year. That's a lot. And the team wasn't really that good, but they drafted him for a reason.
Vote number 3. Type 3 in the chat, quick. Type a 3. Oh, come on. Type a 3. Type a 3.
Yeah.
Please.
Jeff's opening up these fake Facebook and YouTube accounts so he can vote.
Type a 3. Type a 3. Still do it. Do it. It might work. Quick. Type 3 in the chat. Everybody type 3 in the chat if you hate all the teams in our division.
I already closed the poll, so you can type whatever you want at this point.
Everybody type 3 anyway for the hell of it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. No, just 1 3, not 3 3 3. Oh, you already voted earlier. It doesn't count. Paint up your mark. All right. So what I got coming up, I got nothing coming up tomorrow. Nothing on Monday, thank God. Tuesday night I'll be on The Most Notorious. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific with myself, Cheeto Linus, and Raider Will, Silver and Black Podcast. Wednesday night, Raider Connection, 10 o'clock also, with myself, LV Rated 10, Jay from Just Raiders Baby, and Leo. Thursday, Nate and I, Raiders Coast to Coast. Hopefully, we get to do the big board. The top 36 in the draft is the goal. And keep in mind, we're not setting the board based on the Raiders' needs. We're doing it by best player at that time. So don't expect Mendoza to be the number one on this list. He's not. It's going to be somebody different. It's not going to be that. It's going to be based on ability and who's the best in the draft at that time when we get to that number. So, and the reason we're going up to 36 is because it hopefully will give us a better idea on what could possibly be there at that number 36 pick. We're not going to go based on what teams' needs or what our needs are. We're just going to do a true ranking.
The mocks that I've done, 36 is still pretty up. There's some really good talent there. There's some good talent there.
And then Friday night, I will be on the No Huddle, which is open to all fans of all 32 teams in the NFL. So, next
Monday.
Friday
Good.
Nope, go ahead.
Oh no, mine's not related to podcasting, but go ahead.
All right. Next Friday, actually, next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be my last shows that I will definitely be on for, because the following week is the draft. I will be in Pittsburgh. 805 will be there. Severe is going to be there. Chris from Protect the Shield will be there. There's going to be a few others that will be there also. So I will not be on Wednesday night on the Raider Connection. I may pop in at some point from wherever I'm at just to check in from where we're at. Round one, I know Jason and Nate are probably going to work together and do something for the draft that night. But so next week will be my last set of live shows. Except for next Tuesday, a week from Tuesday, I'll be back on. So
I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to have to kick my wife out of the master bedroom that night because my television in my Raider room is not.
Yeah, because you want to be live when we trade back from the number one, so you guys can talk about it.
And
look for me on TV.
And I'm gonna be 100% real with you, Jeff. If we do trade back, I'm not gonna be upset. I'm not gonna throw a fucking fit because at least I know there's some type of plan. It's like, okay, we are targeting this specific. Like we want to build a beast of a defense, and we've already started doing that. And we want to build a beast of a defense, so we're going to attack that in the first round, period, nonstop. And if that is it, man, I am all for it. And you know what? They are great used car salesmen if they do all this shit and they go, nah, we're trading back. I was like, that's how you play poker, my friend.
Oh,
that's
God, yeah.
How you play poker.
And that's what makes me laugh.
And that'll make me proud to know that the front office of my franchise is not fucking around with the rest of the guys in the league. It's like we're going to take you. This ain't your Al Davis Raiders no more.
No. Okay? We're playing chess, and everyone else is still playing tiddlywinks.
Right.
So,
and that would give me. I would have a whole different perspective at that point. I like Mendoza. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great qualities, and taking him at number one, to me, it's like I don't feel like we're pigeonholed. But you can't blame this draft for that. You have to blame the previous 5 drafts for why we're in this position right now. Because we didn't fucking address it when we were supposed to. Okay? That's why. And that's why we're in this position now. So let's address it. If it doesn't work out, at least know we're going to do it again and do it again until we get it right, because we haven't done that. And going and getting a 38-year-old quarterback that was a backup behind Michael Penix, right, and bringing him in and thinking that's going to be the guy that's going to take you to the promised land. He's not taking us to the promised land. All we expect him to do is get us to the right spot. It definitely gives us that option. It really does. It really does give us.
But we wouldn't be having these discussions.
It really does. But I can tell you this. You better not fuck around and win a bunch of games this year, because you ain't going to get a quarterback next year. Except for the guy that I would want next year's draft probably will be there about 7 or 8 because he plays he plays on a crappy team. But I really think he is going to have a really good pro career. You want to watch some good tape? Go watch Sellers.
So let me ask you this: Are you more excited about him or Mendoza?
It's they're two different animals, but they both give you that same vibe.
It's not what I asked. Who are you more excited about, Mendoza or him? Like who do you think would have the better?
I would put him right. I would put him equal. I wish Sellers would. Well, I kind of wish Sellers would have came out or not came out this year, but transferred to another school that had a better foundation, better team, to where he could really showcase his talent. Because his in the pocket, he is dynamite. Out of the pocket, he is deadly. But even in the pocket, dude, you have to tackle him.
So you're talking Sellers, right?
Yes.
You're already making him sound light years ahead of what Mendoza is, because it sounds like he can do things that Mendoza can't do. Basically,
hold on. The knock I'm going to give on Sellers is he doesn't trust his receivers enough and is trying to make the play more himself than distributing the ball to his players. Okay. And he didn't have his little brother was one of his best receivers, and his little brother probably won't play in the NFL.
Can you answer the question now?
Yeah.
Who would you rather have, Mendoza or Sellers? Which one do you think would be the better? Who's going to have the better career out of the two?
I would take Mendoza, but there's that possibility that Sellers could as well. Sellers is going to have to be coached up. He's going to have to be coached up in the NFL. He's not getting coached up in the college.
Sounds like that's what we have to do with Mendoza too.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're going to have to coach up any of these guys coming out of college, period, the end, full stop. None of these guys coming out of college there'll never be another John Elway. There'll never be another Peyton Manning. And there'll never be another.
Those days are gone.
Because the way they play, the way they cut with NIL and the transfer portal and stuff, nobody's ever going to build any consistency in their game. They're going to fault. They're going to go chase a buck over here at this university and regress. So it's just there's no prime for it, man. There's just no prime for the type of quarterbacks that are coming out. So the best thing to do is just cut your wits with what you have, run with it, and so be it. But we got to take a shot at getting a quarterback. I mean, we can't kick the can down the road. And who knows? Maybe a certain podcaster is right. AOC might be the best quarterback we have in the room. We just don't know it.
So that
I don't know. It's out there in the ether somewhere. Just got to go find it. I didn't smoke that stuff. Trust me. I didn't. I like it. I like it. No comment.
Look at people
but I ain't smoking that stuff. I'm not. No way.
All right. So.
What I was going to tell you, Monday is my goal to redo my curb, and I got new designs for it. So I might post that on Instagram.
Nobody even knows what you're talking about.
Oh, I should have put a picture up what it looks
like
before I hit it.
Yeah, really.
Fuck.
See, and you say that I tell people everything that happens to you. I didn't mention anything about that, and here it is. You threw yourself under the bus on that.
Well, I'm okay throwing myself under the bus because now it's just like I told my buddy the other day. I go, you know what? It actually gives me a chance to do it better than what I did before. Mm-hmm. And I've already made the new stencils and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna rock. This is gonna look cool.
All right, I'm ready to get out of here. We're on for over 3 hours.
Are you done with me?
Well,
am I fired?
No, you're not fired. You might have to reach out to HR though. Might have some disciplinary concerns. All right, so the final ban is up. Build it right or stay stuck. Again, tonight was simple. Leadership sets everything. We did a lot of talking about leadership at the start of this. The offensive line, again, defines everything. We live and die by how that offensive line goes. Pick 36 shows what this team really is. And again, Raider Nation, we appreciate you all for being here with us tonight. Thanks for the super chat tonight. And I appreciate all the moderators doing what they did tonight. Any new subscribers that we both picked up tonight, we thank you very much. It means a lot that you guys do that for us. And again, don't forget my membership. Start at 99 cents. So 99 cents, you can buy me a bowl of oatmeal. Not even you can't even get a small coffee for 99 cents anymore. No one used to get like bottomless cups of coffee for like 25 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Christ, you can't even get a shot glass full of coffee for that price. But until next time, everybody, stay safe.
Had a great time tonight, guys. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you guys next week.
Don't forget, Mendoza's not it.
Raider Nation, that's going to do it for tonight. We appreciate everyone who called in, everyone listening, and everyone who brought the heat. This isn't just our show. This is your platform, your takes, your voice. If you didn't get through tonight, don't worry. The phone lines will be open again next time. Until then, keep representing the silver and black wherever you are for everyone here. Thanks for tuning in, Raider Nation. Please, 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 have a take and don't suck. We'll see you next time. This is Raider Nation Voices.